Or do, it's a free country.
Ah, my friend, you have deserted the seas for the comforts land has to offer. Welcome home. Aye, it was time. If not for the passing, my torch would be extinguished. Can you truly give up what she offers? Her countless mysteries, her beauty, her treachery, all found in the journey, which is most precious of all. Aye, my heart fractures. A new generation must conquer the unknown in my stead. I'm glad you made it, my friend. But I must ask, where did you send those young men? Currents beyond memory. We've tread them before. Like many things once essential, they have been lost. Surely you haven't sent them into uncharted waters. Safety is readily available in the mainstream. Many ships and a sure passage. Nay. Untold scores of brave men created the path. Us amongst them. Where once innovation and creativity, where now stands idle bootlickers and hapless cowards. So nay, I did not send them to the mainstream. I've simply given them a heading. They may fail. Aye, they may. 'Tis the risk of great men. But a new age is here. And its course will be set upon the iron seas of fate. And to these brave men and women I say, Godspeed, and hail the Iron Age! Now that's one hot mama jamma.
This is gonna turn into a reverse Royce where we talk over the intro instead of the outro. I'm done. Is that what we're doing? Okay, so first off, Legend of Korra, point one.
Here I come. Oh, here I come. Oh.
Based. Yes! It is me, the ultimate kahuna. I am the captain this Tuesday evening. And tonight, we are on episode 15 of the Iron Seas podcast. Woo! Now allow me to introduce my co-hosts and our guests. Bat Sauce, AC, Justin, and the Ferget, the mighty, the Lord Otter.
Hey, Vern.
Hi. Hey, Vern. So, sorry, that was a kind of a low energy intro. I'll do better next time, guys. I know I let you down. I apologize.
Sound hard.
I'll do better.
Sound harder than trying to get High School Musical 2 to win.
You're at a 6. We need 11.
There we go. It's like, okay, that was like a 9, and we need like an 11 out of 10. Okay, so how the hell are you guys? How's everybody doing?
Pretty terrible, to be honest. So, Ernest won this week.
Okay, so there's no negativity on this show. It's just, good vibes, positive thinking.
I know a lot of people like Ernest, but I couldn't find Ernest. Ernest goes to camp. There's a bunch of others. I'm not going to get Hulu just to watch the freaking show. So I'm like, oh, maybe it'll be funny.
He doesn't look like a... Screw you, Herman. I look like a captain. All right, go ahead.
Maybe it'll be funny if I watch Ernest Goes to School as a joke. I don't know, whatever. I got into 15 minutes of that and I wanted to shoot myself. Luckily I survived.
That is a problem with our ex-servicemen. Continue.
I went to go to bed and I came down with a major fever. I was freezing. I went under 6
Why do I want to laugh at you? I'm sorry.
I woke up and my back went out walking down the stairs. I'm like, this fucking movie's trying to kill me. It's so goddamn bad.
Is your wife just following you, watching this abortion of your life happen?
You did things out of order, man. This is starting with
oh my god. Who cares about the order?
Episode 7, 8, 9, and then being movie. What about the first 3?
Draco Nightmare, thanks for joining.
It's like watching Indiana Jones Part 5 first, and then wondering why things are bad.
Okay, so in short,
we'll talk about it later.
Joe is dying. It happens. It's very sad. Another flick in the statistic. AC, how are you doing this week, man? Working on anything fun?
Oh yeah, just been appearing on some shows. I was on Telepathic Bunny podcast, and
I love that name, dude. It's so funny.
Yeah, Critical Blast also. Shout outs to him, and just been going hard on the comic campaign. A Saga of Sunsets on my comic. Check it out. funmycomic.com/ASOS.
Holy CY.
Also, Seabat said this is all karma for you not helping the campaign for High School Musical 2. And frankly, I mean, weighing on the cosmic scales.
Somebody put their kahunas on the table way too late.
Look,
it's never too late to plop your kahunas, sweaty and unshaven on the table.
I will admit they were heavy kahunas.
This is getting
it sounded like. Anyway, 2 CYs accounted for. So yeah, you've been working on your comic. You're have that campaign going, appearing on a couple of shows, feeling dope, feeling good.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Justin, how's your week been?
It's only Tuesday, but it's been very busy so far. There's been a lot going on with home business and different ongoings. I have to finish up a lot of projects. I'm deep into some things, not very deep into some other things, but there's a lot going on. There's a lot to do, a lot to be done, and I'm pretty tired today, so this will be interesting.
Oh god.
Good thing you don't live on the east. Good thing you don't live on the East Coast, otherwise this would be awful. Anyway, Otter, how are you doing?
Pull your A game up, Justin, because you're going to have to defend Ernest.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
He is utterly fantastic. Rumor has it he's written a book. I haven't read it. I don't know if it really exists. I just met this guy, frankly. I don't really know what's going on.
Not like it's on your shelf
Sadly.
or anything.
Sadly, I only made it halfway through because Ernest took me out and I couldn't finish it the night I was going to finish it. So you have Ernest to thank for that.
Thank you, Ernest.
Anytime for
Oh, yeah, Brian, you're not wrong, but I could have forced Justin to watch that movie. And watching it faster would have made it infinitely worse. It would have been those annoying voices at 2 times speed. It would be like, we're all in this together. Yeah, it would have been like that. He would have hated his life.
and that is a dream I can get behind. But yeah, no, Otter, I know you're working your way through your second book right now. Has that been taking the predominance of your focus, or what else has been going on, man?
Yeah, that's been the big focus as of right now. I'm nearly ready for beta readers to get into reading it so far. From what I've seen so far with my alpha readers, they've been really enjoying it. So I'm really excited to actually get to the finish line whenever that comes about. Hopefully sooner rather than later. But it's going to be quite the mix-up compared to book 1.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah, well, like, after reading it, everybody was just...
This stuff will make you a damn sexual tyrannosaurus. Just like me.
That's how I felt reading that book. Anyway. And that, for those who don't know, that would be... Where did I put it? Oh, yeah. Steel and Stormbright, The Curse of the Star Wraiths. You can't see it. That's fine. It doesn't matter. Art by Neutron Boar. You know, we all whore for the boar. It's a great deal.
Whore for the boar. He knocked it out of the park.
And into his bed. Anyway. So, I guess we have to talk about Ernest, guys. Yeah, let's talk about Ernest. Justin, you really thought we would like it, didn't you?
I held out hope that you all would find something about it to enjoy, and there wouldn't be just this widespread.
I'm memeing. There are things to enjoy. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it.
I like the
like, oh, I enjoy the cancer you gave me.
They were the best part.
I was hoping it was going to be like 60-40, where you're like, this movie was mostly not good, but you know what? I get it. The chat's going to be on.
Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
A lot of Ernest fans in the crowd, but you know.
I know they came out of the freaking woodworks. Freaking toothless hillbillies, like, have you ever seen Ernest?
Is that what it is? Is there a blue collar divide here? That's only the blue collar folks that truly appreciate.
I work construction actively. What do you mean? Yeah. I'm as blue collar as it gets. I'm fruity blue collar, whatever.
Emily, are you ready to give the summary or whatever it is?
I can do the rundown for y'all.
Sure, you're excited.
So for those of you who have not seen Ernest Go...
Anyway, continue. Sorry, I was just reacting. Yeah, go ahead.
For those of you who have not seen Ernest Goes to Camp, 1987, and that date will be, I think, a point of conversation later on. The summary is as follows. Ernest, a lovable loser who works as a summer camp handyman and dreams of becoming a guidance counselor, must find a way to inspire a group of juvenile delinquents.
Wait, that's his dream? Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, after Nom, we'll get
wait to be a camp counselor.
Yeah. Dude, Nom took everything from him. Well get into it.
So I feel like Ernest was a little bit early to like the TikTok Ubu game.
No. Me and my wife figured this out. It gets really deep and dark with Ernest. We'll get into it though.
Do not get into the conspiracy theories. No, not of Ernest.
No. Damn it, AC. Damn it. People like you to lend credence to the mermaid argument. Screw you.
You see, I didn't expect to hear Ernest, TikTok, and conspiracy all in one sentence.
All right. Yeah. So Ernest, he's got to find a way to inspire a group of juvenile delinquents as well as stop a shady strip mining company from closing the camp. This is directed by John Cherry, not the first, not the second, but yes, the third, as we all know. Starring Jim Varney in his most iconic role. He also voiced Slinky the dog in Toy Story. Crutchfield.
Hail Moon.
Fellow named Scott Menville, who's the voice of Robin on Teen Titans Go. He was also in the Super Mario Brothers movie, so some big star power behind this one. It was a
the huge Mario Brothers movie, right? Not the new one.
The new one.
Didn't he die?
Not according to the
early 2000s
for 3 minutes. Crutchfield?
Yeah, like of lung cancer. No, never mind. Right.
He would have been like 10. Did he really? That would be impressive. All right, so it cost $9.4
Screw you, Bob. Continue, Justin.
It cost $9.4 million. This is in today dollars to make, and the box office $65 million, gentlemen. 1 hour 33-minute runtime. You are welcome. You don't need a 2x this one. 1x is all you need. IMDb 5.5 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes 62%, 24% on Metacritic, and a 4.8 on Amazon. With the Washington Post giving it an 85%, saying Although the film is
wildly different scores.
Although
Wildly.
it's a little more than a slapstick showcase where the nosy neighbor character Varney is played in TV commercials, it's not the slapped-together piece of work you might expect. This movie is fairly inoffensive, and younger kids may get a real boost out of its us against them world spirit. 82%, 5 stars on Amazon. Gentlemen.
Well, fun fact. I think you mentioned it though. That Ernest was a character in commercials for like sodas and stuff. You can find it.
That made a lot more sense to me than a full-length movie.
I mean, they're kind of like it's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. Like with the windowsill falling on his hands. Like he goes and talks about a product, and then he falls off a ladder or something. It's like
Play a fart sound effect and like move on, and that's it. But
yeah, but no, the actor. We were talking about the actor who you said voiced somebody, right? Yeah, the actor died in
Jim Varney did at the age of 51.
in the year 2000.
He voiced Slinky Dog in the Toy Story movies. Crutchfield, who is Scott Menville, is the character I was referring to, who did voice acting work for Teen Titans Go as well as the Super Mario's brother. Not Jim Varney. Jim Varney.
Okay.
God rest his
soul.
God rest his soul.
He played the old man in what's the Atlantis? Yeah.
The old man? Oh, the professor. Yeah.
The beans guy? No, the beans. I think beans guy.
That's gonna win one week. You guys wait.
Yeah.
Well, like the thing is, we can't have a poll with an animated film because it will automatically win from what we've seen.
Yep, that's a thing. By the way.
So we have to just put up.
Wally lost, so that's it's only mostly true. I think.
We're all allowed to have this is a show where we're allowed to speak our mind. There's no censorship. There's no declaration of intent against the state. That is me in this case.
Let's put
anyway. So we're moving
up against Ernest Goes to School.
Ernie.
No, I'm making a rule. We will not have Ernest on any more polls going forward for the sake of all those.
How dare you?
That's not a rule.
That's not a rule.
Well,
anyway, we're moving.
We do need to make a rule where it needs to be easily accessible to find. I did end up actually watching the movie.
Ernest is acceptable.
I did have to watch it in parts, and I was kind of falling asleep towards the end.
I sent you a website. I sent you a website.
No, I know. I use that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
I would have made it easier for me, but yeah.
I will say.
I'll put it in the chat.
At least. From the other Ernest ones that I recently saw, like a couple months ago, I randomly put one on. I was like, "Oh, this is not what I remember." It was bad. It was something with an airport or something like that. And then
Ernest Saves Christmas.
Sure. And then Ernest Goes to School, which I tried to watch, which almost killed me.
There are 9 of these festering family-friendly movies.
That's right.
So I'm like, out of those like couple that I've seen recently, like Ernest Goes to Camp was better, but also Ernest was like barely in this movie though. So
is that why it was better for you?
I think so.
No.
No.
You know what? Let's go around. Let everybody except for Justin say one nice thing about this film. That's us. You already did. Otter, you say something nice about this film if you can.
Parachute turtles. I like the parachute turtles.
There we go.
Yeah, that was a cute idea. That was a cute.
It was so stupid that I loved it.
That's right.
You just have to turn off your brain for the entire thing that way, and it works out. No.
It's movie.
Yeah. Before we had the Marvel Cinematic Universe, we had the Ernest Cinematic Universe.
How far? We used to be a proper
Real bad.
Dun, 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 dun. AC, one positive thing about this film.
I love the idea of doing like a live action cartoon basically, and furthermore,
that's been done. That's been done. It's better.
I still love it. And furthermore, Ernest is a cultural bomb, like many of the other movies that we've watched. There's plenty.
What kind of bomb? Like the kind we send overseas, or like box office? Like what do you?
No, Emily's the only person we know that's heard of Ernest Fest.
No, I heard of it. Well, Ernest Fest. No, I've never.
I did hear of it. Granted, through Justin.
In my defense, I have a friend who he very much enjoys going to the sites where they filmed movies, and Kentucky's not that far from where I'm at. So it's one of those things. He's like, we should do Ernest Fest, man. We should get out there. We can see where the golf cart ran around.
Oh.
That you see, a movie about you guys going to Ernest Fest may be more entertaining than any of the Ernest movies.
Look, this movie's so bad it made me forget to get in the freaking bus, man. Hey, and joining with me is this tard, cheap tard. I'm fucking. Yeah, like first off,
a real Native American human that isn't
Be
Italian.
a real warrior now.
he gets tricked by a real retard, and then he gets angry because he also is retarded. Who's more retarded, the retard or the one who follows the retard? Also, can only speak to one person. His daughter doesn't learn a lick of English to talk to one other person, and then he tries to form like a child soldier army to go against the people that are just doing their job.
Herman, no. Okay, moving on.
Braves, man, they were of age. It was time.
That's fair.
They go on walkabout.
No, grandfather, we're just children. Hey!
For storytelling purposes, wouldn't you like show like the kids going through like some steps to become like brave or whatever, and like God,
there was a montage.
Please be something more than them just getting shit thrown at them.
There was an
And then
80s
they
montage.
have a theme going to the end.
I thought the songs were okay.
Yeah, dude, great track, great.
God,
great
okay, so
story.
this is a personal thing. The what's it? Together.
We could have been listening to High School Musical. I'm just saying.
I did a video editing project in high school, and we you had to listen to it 1,000 times. I can't stand that song because of it.
The only one for me is you. Like
Together.
yeah, the song that plays too whenever they're doing the trial of the blade, the stone, and the arrow.
Hail, take third. Michael Harris. People are coming out. Why? People are coming out for Ernest. What is this?
Here we go.
Is this like a cult I was never invited to?
What kind
Wait a
of
minute.
Twitter hashtag is
Welcome.
this? Hashtag coming out for Ernest.
Coming for Ernest.
I think Michael Harris mentioned on
Coming for Ernest.
on somebody's stream. I think John's. He was mad about it. No, was that guy not justified for trying to shoot somebody on his property?
No,
that was literally terrorizing his employees.
Yep.
He tried. He
They're
tried.
throwing bombs at them, and then they're like, "Oh,
Look.
they're the good guys." Sure.
We're jumping ahead, but what happened when he tried?
True. It's true.
How'd it go? How'd it work out?
Yeah. How'd it go? Come on. Tell me, Joe. Tell us. Say it.
Sips tea.
Fucking God.
He's losing his mind.
It is the original TikTok.
What is going on? Why do people love it? Okay. Oh wait. Okay, it's my turn. It's my turn to rant. I did not watch. I've never seen any Ernest movie. I've never seen a scene with Ernest. I knew nothing. Didn't even know it existed. The name kind of sounded familiar. That's it. I watched this. I'm like, this does a bunch of things a lot of other stuff has done. Like, I've seen the silly kids movie with a cartoon-like character as the adult lead in a kids movie. I've seen that. I've seen movies trying to show kids good messaging and having fun and being silly and all that. But I've seen other movies and shows do it better in every designation that I can think of. What was that?
Camp Hope.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a great movie. That's a great movie.
Yeah.
But
A little on the nose with the messaging, right?
yeah, let's go to fat camp, fatty. Learn to love yourself, but also lose some fucking weight. No.
So wait, that's heavyweights, right?
Heavyweights. That's what it's called. Yeah, they go to Camp Hope. Yeah.
Holes? Anybody? Holes?
Holes. I love Holes.
Yeah.
Holes are going too. That's
That's gonna get clipped.
My summer movie. That should have been my summer movie.
When writing comedy, people make the mistake. It's hilarious on paper. It's hilarious with your friend or whatever, and then you present it in whatever format, and it's just not funny, right? And that's how I feel like this entire movie was. I got a joke in my book that totally is gonna I assume.
If I grew up with it, it might be a different story. I didn't.
Yes.
Because look at all of these people: Tank Farron, Michael Harris, McCoppin, Herman. Everybody.
It's the same thing with Atlantis. It's the same thing, or not Atlantis.
Major Payne. Maji is the goat. Yeah. Major Payne. That is the best version.
Excellent.
Of this.
Oh man,
Major Payne is fantastic.
Grow my little mushrooms.
G.I. Jane.
Ernest was an indie artist who got to go mainstream.
Yes. That's
How about that? How about that?
Yeah, what did he have
That's
to
hard
do
to come back.
to go mainstream?
Ladies.
Nothing. He didn't change. He never changed.
Come into my office.
Like he was acting like Jim Carrey, but Jim Carrey's very, very funny. That's the difference.
He was before Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey.
Yeah, Jim Carrey did it right, man.
Jim Carrey
Ernest aimed at the target and he hit the neighbor's car.
We mentioned the commercials. We mentioned the commercials. He already had the character, the same jokes. It didn't involve a cent into the movies. There was no evolution.
The Mask was 7 years after Ernest. Jim Carrey doesn't exist without Ernest.
That's fair.
That's one less loony.
Well, anyway, so we've had a good show, everybody. I think we're just about done talking about Ernest. Where is that darn clip? Hold on.
Might have to turn down slightly, but
yeah, you're clipping a little.
This is great. It's us again.
Last words before you walk the plank, sir.
You can't do this, you maniac!
I think we're all against the chat at this point. That's not good.
Your clothes, give them to me.
So,
sorry.
Can we get into the little bit of racist undertones of the movie?
Wait, what?
Oh, come on! The one kid who can't
Racial messaging.
black.
Joe, frankly, I don't see color. I didn't know that. I didn't notice it.
Come here, little black child.
Whoa! Do not hold Hisoka while talking about a child. You sick bastard. Why are you holding Hisoka while talking about children? That's messed up, bro.
Come here, little child.
What the hell?
No, I'm sorry. That would have been like absolutely hilarious if like it's
Herman, you're dead to me.
Coming off the bus, we can't have them, and then it's just a school full of black kids.
Yeah. For the record, wait, who was the kid? Who was the lady who said they were bad? What did she look like?
Right.
What's that? With the
Native American lady who said I've never met a bad kid, and she said, "Let me introduce you to some." What'd she look like? That's all I'm saying. It was the 80s.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Asian.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, she was an Asian.
Hey, man. I think poor kids can be just as smart as white kids.
She was playing a Native American. Wow, Evelyn.
Institution.
But wait,
the lady at the institution was a native?
The person playing the Native American was a Native American.
In the institution that introduces you to the children?
Wait.
This isn't a Jim Carrey movie where they would have
Saint Cloud, that angel.
This isn't Ace Ventura where they would have a Hawaiian playing an African chief. No, it's not that based.
What is it? The most famous Indian guy from that robot movie?
I don't know his name.
Like everybody thought, all the Indians thought he was Indian.
Wait, isn't that Iron Eyes Cody?
No, I'm talking about a different movie.
I think that's his name, though.
Johnny.
Short. That's Short Circuit.
Yeah, the guy who plays.
That's a great movie, dude. We should have. I love that movie.
I like that one too. Johnny.
The gain on that mic, though. What this game? Okay, sorry.
Steve something. Steve
Stevens.
No, I mean Cat Stevens. Is it Cat Stevens? That sounds right.
If anything, it was okay. I understand Royce and his disdain for the chat, but you are still my people. I still love you, even if you're like a retarded younger sibling. Let's go.
A bunch of earnest window lickers, all right?
Hey, I'm Team Ernest.
Window lickers. I think they're more like the Chris Farley paint eaters. Yeah, there we go.
I'm firmly Team Ernest. Between Justin's passionate defense of it and the chat's turnout, there
we go. There's a reason.
I'll add when you on its surface, Ernest is attempting to be a live action cartoon directed towards kids with a poorly executed plot, but with a good idea at its core. But when you look a little deeper at it, you take a second look at it, you realize that he is a poor military veteran who is suffering from PTSD and permanently at the age of he's like a permanent 13-year-old or something, dude.
That just makes you a beta cuck.
Anyway,
it's true. I rest my case.
I think it was a make-believe story when he told it, but
He does. He never lied at any point in the story, did he? Well, I guess when he got the shot.
Just look
He does not have a deep Rambo-like backstory.
Yeah, he does.
Okay,
I don't know. He said he
Who
did.
hurt you, Ernest? Who hurt you?
more seriously, like
Viet
from
Cong.
storytelling perspective, the kids that were like the delinquents or whatever, the transition from them from being mean bullies to we love you, Ernest, was retarded. There was zero transition. It just happened.
No, that's false. False.
No, there was not. They gave him poison ivy, and then the lady's like, "You guys are mean." Ernest likes you. They're like,
It was fast, but it did happen. It did
Hour and a
happen.
half movie. Yeah, twice she talked to them. Twice she said.
and then Ernest goes to fight the builder for which the builder is like, "I'm doing my job, guy," and then beats the crap out of him. And it's like, are we supposed to be rooting for Ernest here?
Animation, I love it, and I hate you. Anyway.
Or did he pull a weapon? Did he punch some dad in front of his family and throw them out?
Hello, Alicia. We're just discussing the many faults of the Ernest movies. It is being defended by an old man in the chat. Anyway.
He approached the man in an intimidating fashion and then touched him, assaulted him on the
Look how
chin.
excited Andy
Then
is
he
about this. He's like,
defended
tell
himself.
me.
Merely just defended himself. It was a clear case of self-defense. And let's talk about allegedly. Let's talk about when he had to break into that house and save that child from that crack family that was on there.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, they just like haven't paid their taxes or whatever. They don't own the house anymore. And he's like, oh.
Also, I'm going to point something out. People have said that he inspired Jim Carrey and Chris Farley. And maybe that's true. They saw like, wow, he has a base. He's almost funny. If we tweak it just a little bit, we can make it actually funny.
Yeah, what if
and
I did
really,
this
really
good?
What if I did this, but like really excellently?
It's not.
I'm being a hater. It made me chuckle once or twice. It's better than a modern like bad feminist comedy movie by a lot.
I'll say this as somebody who actually grew up with a lot of the Ernest movies. This was always one of my least favorite Ernest movies.
Really?
This seems to be the best one. And I grew up with Ernest movies too, and I remember not liking them back then.
Did I grow up in a Hawaiian? Did I grow up in a Hawaiian cave? How did has everybody seen these movies?
Yeah, I don't know. It might have been a channel or something. You know, maybe you didn't.
I did not. I'll say this. I did not grow up with TV. I never had TV. We had like VHS and DVDs that we would rent, but we never had just television. So maybe that's it.
Oh, was he a Shakespearean actor as well?
Interesting. I think I vaguely remember some Jim Varney movies. Is that his name? Jim Varney?
Jim Varney.
Yeah.
Yeah, I vaguely remember some movies. I think it's him, but he's like a troll hunter, and they were actually like more adult. But he still like is acting like Jim Varney a little bit. He hunts trolls, if I remember right. Yeah.
I might be mixing the clip that you sent us, where he runs over a troll with a bus.
No, his dog backs up the truck over a troll. His dog rim.
Oh, shush! PlayStation can suck it. Moving on.
Which, yeah, that's again. That's the thing about Ernest. They're silly. I don't know it's funny so much as it's just like silly entertainment. Ernest Goes to Jail. Have you ever seen that one? Off the wall. Off the wall. Is it funny? Not really. Is it silly entertainment? Yes. Maybe
you gotta do what you gotta do in the jail cell. Gets on his knees.
Oh my god.
Don't drop the soap. Oops, I did it again.
Drop the soap by him. He's waiting for other people to drop.
Why is there a hole in this bathroom, guys?
Stop with the Gen Z shit. We're all in our 30s.
It's gonna be like that. When Winnie the Pooh went and they turned him into a demon hunter, it's gonna be Ernest, and they're gonna redo these movies. And they're gonna do all this horrible things to poor innocent Ernest.
Oh, they'll make Ernest is canonically a black trans person. Canonically, according to the new movies, yeah.
Listen, all I know is when I wear a T-shirt like this, it really makes me feel like the person who designed this thinks that Ernest is a bad movie as well. It's really has that feeling.
I don't think so. He's pretty earnest in his opinions. Okay, that's enough of that pun, guys. That's it. I love you, Justin. I do not want to talk about this movie anymore.
Well, hold on, Otter.
Final points.
Our guest. What do you think?
What do I think about this movie?
Yeah.
I don't hate it, but it's kind of one of my least favorite Ernest movies of the bunch. I still like I like Ernest Goes to Jail, Saves Christmas, and Scared Stupid all a lot more.
I like Ernest Floats personally, but continue.
How's it going? Otter, what about Rides Again? Have you seen that one?
Oh, I don't think I have actually.
Is that real?
I haven't watched.
I didn't see that one. I thought I had seen all the Ernests growing up, and Rides Again. It was actually brought to my attention by Maji, and then a few other people in the chat were like, "You need to check out Rides Again." I was like, "All right," and I got a copy of it, and it's one of my favorites, if not my. It's like top 2.
Oh, blow me, Brian. That is the worst take I've ever heard you give. Wow. Wow. Okay.
Rides Again, most jokes per minute for sure. It's worth checking out if you're a fan of Ernest at all, and you want a silly time in the afternoon for 90 tight minutes, not 3 hours of
Ernest Infinity War. And you guys remember that one too? Yeah.
The Ernest JPM is off the chain. All right.
Ernest Endgame.
Look, all I'm saying is, who can own a tree? Who can own a rock?
Look, some people like the 20 JPMs. I'm more of a 30 JPM. You know,
look, some people got to learn how to swim the Stennis
take it
way.
a little bit slower with the 15 JPMs.
A lot of these points are eggs erroneous. You know.
Yeah. Justin is full of them.
Now that's funnier than most of the jokes in the movie.
He's only been at 10%. You don't even know. You don't even know. You haven't even-
Okay, boys.
I got something to say before
Yes.
we do it.
Just final points.
First off, Evelyn, do you know how I know you're gay? Because you like Ernest. You know all those Colts back in the day that killed themselves?
You're a Marine. I expected a much better joke.
All those... Don't cut me up! All those Colts back in the day that killed themselves, well, they knew the Kool-Aid was poison.
In Minecraft.
They chugged it after someone suggested watching Ernest. People say comedy heals, but what does that have to do with Ernest? This movie is a result of a generation inhaling leaded gas.
Hi there.
Kids, before we had trash like Star Wars The Acolyte, we had Ernest in my day. Conversion therapy stopped working when they stopped showing them Ernest. To be fair, that was considered cruel and unusual punishment. Watching Ernest is like trying to figure out what Joe Biden is saying.
He wrote an entire fucking rant.
Ernest, Amy Schumer's funnier. Ernest goes to the army was worse for America than 9/11. Anytime someone finds information on Hillary Clinton, actually a copy of Ernest is sent to them instead. They tried to sell Ernest in Japan, but they replied, "This is way too weird." All right, end it.
All right.
Did you write all that for this movie?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm saying he's just winging it.
You know what I mean?
Like
Greg?
Razor Fist. Just...
Yeah, completely winged. Well, don't let's sit in it.
Okay, final tally. Bat sauce, obviously a floater. Justin.
Oh, come on, you gotta ask me. Look, I'm wearing the vest and everything.
Oh, I just thought because there was a narrow cold front coming in. Anyway, Otter, float or sink for this movie? Not Ernest in general, but this particular movie.
It's a sinker.
Andy, tell me.
It floats.
Hey!
Whoa!
Flashback graphic novel.
All right.
Okay, it's all up to me now because we're tied up. All right, guys. What do we think? What do we think?
Yeah.
You're here. There's nothing I fear.
Hey, can the chat get a vote?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not on this particular vote. No.
Not a representative.
I do not represent a party in this, a political party in this, but I think that would be a great idea to give the people a voice.
this, Andy, you're forgetting one thing. This isn't a democracy.
This is tyranny.
Okay.
It was actually be closer to 10 p.m. our time anyway. High School Musical mail-in votes. Mm-hmm. They didn't check ID, did they? They sure didn't.
No, they didn't. All those real living earnest voters. Yeah.
Look, some people know what I mean, Vern, and some people don't know what I mean, Vern. I guess
I know what you mean, Vern.
There we go.
Guys, next time
You gotta watch those troll movies, Justin. They're creepy.
You send me some clips, man. Send me some links.
No.
Okay, so moving on. There are several questions posed to us here at the Iron Seas, but one of them that we came up with, definitely not at all inspired by other people talking about it, is: can the mainstream
be saved?
What do you think, Otter? You're our guest. I would like to hear you speak before Joe gives his.
The mainstream, Otter. Steel man him.
Oh God. So.
And then we'll clip it.
We also didn't prep him, so
Yeah, I'm really not prepped for this answer. Well, I sort of see the indies as the new alternative mainstream, if that makes any sense. The mainstream is kind of on its way out. It's sticking too dogmatically to a dying formula, and we're seeing the pretty well
drastic financial consequences. Yeah.
Yes. So,
What?
I don't know. I see the Iron Age. I see Comicsgate. I see a lot of these indie published movements as sort of the alternative that will eventually become what you would call the new mainstream. But I mean that in the most positive way I can, because
That's true.
I do think there will always be a mainstream. It's just the way who's in charge, who's running things, and what is being promoted and shown it would have to transform drastically for it to get any semblance of what it once was.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is the question's a little off, right? Because mainstream is mainstream. It's more about who is in the mainstream currently, and it's like the current people in mainstream. Are they going to die? Probably. Like, and that's when we're thinking, the big Disney or whatever's in the mainstream right now, right? So yeah, but it's just like you kind of, in order to be big, you need to be mainstream. So seeing an indie like becoming the mainstream is just super unlikely. One of the things we could maybe see is something like a Brandon Sanderson go to the mainstream, like more like the kind of like the AA games, how they're kind of like ruling gaming right now.
Well, in effect, Sanderson has become one of the biggest in that dimension, because he has his traditionally published books, but he has like 5 secret projects that he wrote in his spare time, as writers always have. And he had the most successful campaign, like one of the most successful campaigns on Kickstarter of all time. Like not just books, but of anything. Like it was like over $40 million. It was something like, for books. He didn't tell people the names. He didn't tell you what they were about. He had 4 very small 2 color sample images, one for each book, and he sold over $40 million on Kickstarter. That's freaking insane. The man has pretty much he could become his own publisher, and I think we're already kind of seeing that with Eric in the Rippaverse. Whatever Comicsgate guys may say in regards to that, it doesn't matter. He is becoming his own publisher. I think we're going to start seeing more and more of that in the upcoming future.
Yes.
Well, I think more than anything, it's about creating your own niche and sticking to it and learning how to play to your strengths, because the reputation you're going to be building, especially as a creator, it's going to center around what you end up putting out. And the best way to do that is to, of course, you're going to be making friends, learning about different editing styles, ways of creating videos, marketing what you have. But what it really comes down to is being yourself and being honest with yourself. And if you can do that, I think you're going to get one of the most honest followings out there. I think a lot of the best creators that are big right now are kind of sticking to that. The ones who aren't blatant sellouts anyway.
Yeah, and like it is like, especially something in a space like YouTube, there is a element of performance art. I view it almost like the old wrestling WWE back in the day. Like we all we all are on YouTube. We all kind of like, at least most people play a caricature of themselves. It may be very similar, but it is a caricature with a performance art kind of expectation.
Hey, real quick before it's gone, with Brian McCoffin's comment about Disney remaking Ernest, Disney kind of made Ernest, but then they dropped it to a different project.
Is that true?
Yeah. They the first film Ernest Goes Camp was Disney published or released or what have you.
Yeah.
There is not an Ernest theme park. Absolutely not. That's a lie.
You got to have a Gene vest to get in.
Lit.
Oh, bro, I'm done. I like, it could be true too, because there were a lot of bad theme parks back in the day. It could easily be true.
I think we're gonna see the mainstream get almost completely decentralized with a bunch of powerhouse islands, so to speak, fortress IPs. That's what I'll call it, fortress IPs. And you can imagine a fortress in the middle of an ocean, and it kind of like gets wider at the base until it kind of dissolves into the ocean, and you got waves lapping up with like fresh sand as people try to like struggle to latch on and find purchase.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of breaking it down, because one of the best ways you can really have it is having it be somewhat decentralized, and then there's that element of friendly competition, because that way you are competing to make a better story or a better creation. So in the end, everybody's winning in some way, shape, or form. Everybody benefits from that.
Right.
Son of a bitch.
That felt right.
Yeah.
Justin, what do you think, man? What do you think about the mainstream?
Yeah, I feel like there's aspects of it that will be savable, and we'll see a righting of the ship where they're going to start doing things that we used to love. And you'll get 10, 15, maybe 20% movies that are like, oh, this is great. And they just tuck in a little bit of messaging or a little bit of this and that. And the vast majority of people are like, oh, what? Really? Oh, okay, whatever. And they just kind of go along to get along. And the rest of the people, as we've seen, if it's good enough, they'll forgive a lot. And I think you'll see it going slightly past that forgive a lot to we'll forgive, and it's just they slip it in, and it just gets more the way that they probably should have approached it with their messaging to begin with. For some reason, man, they went whole hog. They were like, "Here's our opening."
Well, I don't think money is the main motivator. If it was, different decisions would be made. Because like so many, like the path that they are on has been bleeding money for like kind of almost a decade now, and so like
100% a communist agenda. Like if you go follow, I forgot there's some person that made a roadmap of how to achieve communism or whatever, and it's like literally one of the first steps is
Mussolini,
to like make
Karl
terrible
Marx.
art. No, but after
Karl
that,
Mussolini.
Yeah, like the first step is like to make terrible art.
It takes so many years to indoctrinate the public to accept communism, and that's done through the arts.
Yep.
The thing is, a lot of the people who originally orchestrated this whole artistic movement, the creators in power now are like the grandsons and granddaughters who
nepotism, and they didn't earn it, and now they're just trying to ride on the coattails.
They didn't earn it. I sincerely believe the original orchestrators of these communist movements didn't really know what they were doing either, but they were more well-read than who's in power now. So a lot of the subtlety's been lost. A lot of the art has been lost. So it's just bad art now.
Yeah, you bring up a big point. It's a bunch of Nepo babies kind of running it and trying to like just putting zero effort into the slop and just collecting the paycheck, which they think is just, money owed to them. And then that's why there's all this money going to catering and stuff and these hotels, and they're just partying it up, living their fucking life, just taking all this money that's supposed to be spent on, making the art. And that, that's why we have these inflated budgets. Yeah,
you didn't use quotations, but I heard them in your words. Making art.
Well, I sincerely believe that some of the best artwork out there is something where you can blatantly disagree with what it's actually telling you, but it's told so well, you can still respect it in a way because it's kind of engaging you on such a basic level, I guess.
Well, like
Yeah.
even books are like that sometimes too.
Yeah.
Like
Political-
the picture of Dorian Gray. I disagree with almost every message in that book, but it's very well written. And AC, what were you saying? Sorry.
Oh, political parties don't completely own ideas, right? So like the idea of being anti-slavery could be construed as like maybe leaning towards one side, but that idea is actually as old as humanity. As long as there's been slaves, there's probably been people that are against it. You know what I mean? I digress, but you don't own ideas, and people can always write about these universal evils and truths, right? If you just stick to universal truths, then that goes a long way, right?
Hey guys, keep up these earnest movie titles. Keep it going. I love this.
It's gone way a good day.
I want
Dude, they keep. I wasn't going to say anything, but they keep coming.
Should we vote?
Justin, you knew this would happen when you picked Ernest Goes to Camp.
No,
I was waiting for a long time with my High School Musical stuff. I set it up. I'm like, I don't even need to release the video. It's fine. And then I wake up the next morning. Ernest has 10 percent points higher than me. How?
Yep.
I was like, I love Ernest, and I'm used to losing, so I just assumed it was gonna be another one, and I'm like, whatever, I tried. So I didn't expect the Ernest love, but I'm also not surprised at all.
Also, real quick, in honor of the great sea wife, Seabats, F the socialists.
Based.
There you go.
By the end of the stream, we're going to be calling Kahuna the Ernest Kahuna.
Yeah. No.
That's how it starts.
They're like, maybe if you're more earnest, you would have a sea wife too. Screw you guys. I'm going home.
But yeah, we got to hear Otter's impression at some point tonight.
Oh, Otter's Cartman is so good, dude. It's at least as good as my Trump.
But oh my god, you guys, it is like so cold in here right now. You guys wouldn't believe.
Frankly, best Cartman I've ever heard.
If we were better,
back to the topic.
What we're seeing is a period of decadence within a upper royalty class, like a royal class of incestuous.
Kind of like the splurge of the 1920s.
Decadent barbarians,
yeah,
running the show, and they're all just mixing with their own kind until it's kind of reached this eventuality, and it's all bought and paid for by outside companies like BlackRock. But I digress.
Yeah.
Missouri Breaks has been spotted in the chat. Hail, Gerard Kreisman.
Hail,
tremendous.
Yeah, I mean, I bring up Sanderson because it's like right now he's like the best. I'm sorry, I keep bringing him up. He's the person in the best position to break into the mainstream and start to make like a huge shift. Are there other people in the position?
He's the dude with a fortress. Like I was my metaphor earlier. Yeah, he has a fortress. Yeah, and people need to. Yeah.
There's other people as well, and there we can see more down the line. But right now, he's got like the most popular book series, and he's not selling the movie rights to anyone. He's going to do it himself. And if those movies, if they end up being a success, that could be big money and also a lot more investors possibly. And then we can actually see like a legitimate change. And he's also the guy that made made Amazon. He said, "Fuck you! I don't care if I lose money. You need to start treating other
your authors and your buyers correctly." Yeah,
which is awesome.
And they listened to him. Amazon, listen to this guy.
I mean,
sorry,
to be fair, Brandon Sanderson's voice does actually sway opinions. Like,
a lot of opinion.
Fan base to go behind it.
It sucks because us and a lot, majority of everyone else are kind of just like hoping that somebody like this can do something like that, and also we have to hope that they have to keep doing the right thing. It's kind of like the Elon Musk thing, right?
The Ernest Manifesto.
Oh, holy crap, bro!
Oh man!
Oh, you guys are killing me, man. The 10 Ernest
commands. Yeah, but no, it's like don't like that we have to rely on like one person at top. It sucks, but it's kind of like it is what it is. you know, these things don't make changes without somebody taking the lead. And if that's going to be Sanderson, this can be Sanderson, right? I hope more people start to really show up and start to make huge impacts like Sanderson has done with $1 million. But yeah.
The Ernest too shagged.
I'm trying to figure out if the chat, if our viewers prefer the tangents or if they like us to stay locked in. That's one thing I'm not sure.
You have to have a little bit.
They're still going, man. They're just running with it.
I like that one. The importance of being
saying, you know what I mean. Ernest in space.
I feel like there's going to be a rise in indie creators and your ability to create things at not quite Hollywood levels, but closer, just because the AI is getting better. I was watching a video the other day on AI video editing, where it's one thing with art. If you need to hire an artist to do a single artwork, that's something that is like, okay, one guy, one gal, I hire this person, they do the artwork, we're done here. But then you start looking at, okay, I want to make a movie. Well, what are you going to do then? You got to hire somebody to film it that owns a camera. You need something. You need to go to a location. You got to bring in boom mics. You need actors.
You just mentioned
you have to edit people. Have people edit the tags out of the ears of cows. There's a lot to consider.
Yes,
so I mean, like it is a problem
like that.
I just pulled that out of my hat. Not.
But if you could have AI clean up something like that, anything,
it would be pretty cool.
But there's also you can do that now. I saw it in the editors coming down the pike. You just select it, and it just.
I agree, but we have a huge shunning of AI, which, like you just said,
oh my God, Ernest list.
You can have one person, you know. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I could have saved one more.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that is your wife, so you're in a rock and a hard place there. I think.
Just wait, you know. You could just wait, you know. But
why are there so many?
Glorious Ernest.
The man with the golden Ernest. Oh, forgetting Ernest Marshall.
That's cool.
Oh.
I'm sorry, Joe. That was just.
That's right. It's
fine.
He's like it's completely fine, you know.
Yes.
Anyway, Joe, continue.
Dude, if you change the topic, I completely forget what I think. You know, I got
no. It's decadence. Decadence, brothers. You know, the corruption. It's a classic fall of Rome. We've seen this time and again throughout history, except this is focused on Hollywood. Hollywood's bought and paid for by the East. East being Russia and China, and all the rest.
China.
That's their propaganda platform in the West. So
let me see if I can.
We need to recognize it for what it is. We need to decentralize. Buy your friends' books. Support your friend authors. And build up IPs from there. We'll all get different sized fortresses. You know, it'll be like Mad Max for a little bit, and then it'll settle, and then it'll be like Lord of the Rings with like Aragorn as king, right? Minas Tirith and stuff like that. It'll be. Cool.
I understand why the chats are down here, but that's what's getting me off track too. We were talking about AI. You were going to make a point about AI and people being against it, I believe. Does that jog your memory to get you back on track at all?
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay.
Yes.
So.
Yes. CGI,
right. Like you said, it's way more foreseeable with using AI to have a small team or even just one person making some pretty legit content and not requiring a huge amount of money and a huge team and stuff like that. And then, then you start to have art by committee and whatnot. So, that's why it kind of sucks that AI is a cursed, it's a cursed word right now.
Yeah.
And I do get it. It's like we don't want AI to be used for to replace people that have talent and whatnot.
Terminator.
Yeah, and the AI books get thrown up a lot, but has anyone bought and read a fully AI book? Is that
no, no, I never have.
I feel like that's kind of hoopla.
Why would you even buy it? It's something that doesn't even have any real value. Just as much as you can pay for an AI book, you can also just prompt for an AI book for free.
Yeah.
Yep. Especially that's what baffles me. It's like AI for certain things like math-related problems and for running certain systems, it makes a lot of sense actually. And like I've talked to Kikumon about this a couple of times. He explained it in a way that actually partially convinced me. But for art, it feels very soulless most of the time. There are exceptions, and we like. Heck, even some of like the images stuff that we're using for promotion, like some of that is partially AI mixed in with some of our own work.
Yeah.
Justin, are you reading the names again?
I'm trying really hard not to. I'm sorry. May I hide
They're
it.
Nightmare
They're
on
so
Ernest
good.
Street.
It
Jeez.
keeps going. I mean, Bats is gonna yell at me again. I'll put it over here. I'm sorry, chat. I'm gonna try my
I'm
best
looking
to
at him.
pay
He's just
attention.
like barely keeping it together.
Dude.
But
sure
yeah,
you
the end goal is obviously human artists, human CGI, but you got to build that fortress up, right? And it starts off as a raft, and we're all just floating in these iron seas, and you get other rafts that float along, and you can lash them together, you know, and we can eventually build a fortress one stone at a time and trade with each other. And
yeah, it's like in the Iron Seas. Eventually, islands will rise up, and that will be the new mainstream eventually. Again, this all takes time, and people will say it's impossible. But how do you think all the Hollywood institutions started? Think of how many times, like we always thought of Disney as the eternal institution, but look historically how many times it's almost completely disappeared. Many times.
Well,
This is
I
like
think
such
there's a cycle to it. So it's like you are eventually going to have like all of these creators, all of these different people who hold power eventually coming together. Then after a while it starts to decay, and then you get a new sort of decentralized power, and over time it starts to unite and the cycle continues. I think something similar is there with art.
Yeah.
I agree.
I mean, is it too hot of a take to say that the lever that will get this group to being on par with the mainstream is AI? Is it the thing that is being fought against, but is actually the ticket to getting to that level? Unless you want to ride it out for longer periods of time.
I think AI is cheap and expedient, but it's not always better. That's the biggest takeaway.
It's gonna make some
heavily
great
flawed
YouTube
depending on
videos.
how you look at it. AI is very good at certain things, but when it comes to cohesion, it is absolutely terrible.
yeah,
Consistency, yeah. It's.
I
I mean,
mean,
there's still
trying
like
to fix it, but it's still very flawed, and a lot of
Sure.
it comes down to sheer volume of derived data.
Stop it, Coop. Stop it.
I'm sorry, they're really good, dude.
I know. I hit all my stuff. I hit it all.
Oh,
fuck, Otter. What'd you just say? I had a comment to it, and I just it's gone.
I'm so.
I believe I was talking to it was about where AI is terrible at being consistent.
Terrible being consistent.
So a lot of
Yes.
how AI is broken down, you can break it down to the actual models that are being fed into the AI. That's what's quote unquote training it, or what it's learning from. And the way they try and fix it is they try to give it just enough data, like we're talking like gigabytes, terabytes of data, whatever, to where it can make a good generalization. You say, oh, I want a landscape painting. It has enough where it can kind of generalize what you mean by it. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to get a good idea.
Well, I was
Well,
gonna say,
it's like-
even with
Sorry,
these
go ahead.
tools and being able to like make really excellent projects and stuff like that, it's like the old guard, the greats, like gatekeepers of Hollywood and stuff like that. And maybe it won't be Hollywood, maybe it's somebody else down the road, but like I feel like there's still this whole thing of marketing and whatnot that's going to require a lot more people and everything to actually be like, I guess, considered mainstream. Unless YouTube like content will be the mainstream of the future. Yeah.
Well, it kind of like consider how many people use YouTube. I don't think I'm trying to think of another platform with long form content that sees the amount of traffic that YouTube does, and I don't know if how many of those there are. Also, Swiss Family, guys, you guys broke back, guys. Okay, we have to stop. We have to stop.
No, we have to go back and read them all out loud at the end of the stream.
Ernest goes to Ernest.
This would take the rest of the stream just to read what they've done so far.
Yeah.
Oh, Justin turned off his camera. He can't focus too. I got rid of him as a joker. The Ernest.
Yeah.
Okay. Jesus. Okay. Hey, guys, we need to focus here. So, hey, Otter, as a wait, we have to do our. Oh, I don't have the. I don't think I have that one. Darn it! It's such a good switch. Okay, to rinse and repeat. Now, Otter, tell us about your book.
Well,
the new one and the old one.
Yes, I'll start with the old one just so it's a little easier to wrap your head around. Thank you for that.
Yes.
Curse
The
of
old
the
Joe
Star
Biden.
Raids. It's a swords and sorcery novella about two brothers being pitted against the world. It's very much in a similar vein to something like Conan the Barbarian, Solomon Kane, Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser. If you like fun pulp adventure fantasy set in kind of like a world full of high magic, weird fantasy, and adventure, also with two brothers, and their whole relationship being at the forefront of it, I think you'll like this.
Yes, yeah. Book one, you can tell it's a first book, but for all of that, there were quite a few scenes. Like, the book is engaging, but there are a few scenes where it locked me in. Hardcore. AC, your book had some of those as well. Like, certain scenes where it's like the book overall is great, but like certain scenes, it's like there's nothing else. I am in it. I see it in my mind.
Yeah.
And both of your books have scenes like that. There you go. Get real close, boy.
Like that.
And Otter, I've talked to you about what some of those are, and there is some promotion for your second book that will reveal more of that in the future as well. But yeah, no, certainly, and like it sounds like some of those scenes were going to be very, very different before. And based on some feedback that you received from some people, beta readers and kind of critique partners, you made some changes that really brought some of those scenes to life.
Yeah, so the first book, it's something where I did have an outline, but the final product was anything but planned. It just kind of came together over time, and by the end, it just happened to be the way that it did. It's very much something that is, I would call emergent storytelling in a lot of ways. The overall tone is definitely something I didn't plan. Originally, it was meant to be more in the vein of something like Wheel of Time. I think that's what kind of got me into writing a novel in the first place. But by the very end, I kind of put it together that, no, this story, it fits a lot better as a swords and sorcery tale.
And that fits better as a pulp.
Yes. And once the name Steel and Stormbright came into my head, and it was just kind of like something that just ran right in there one day.
Michael Harris also has a book, and it's very good. The ending was perfectly engaging. Okay, I'm done shilling. Continue, Otter.
Hail, Michael Harris. But yeah, it was something that once the name came into my mind, I knew what I wanted, and it's kind of been a straight shot ever since. This second book, so far anyway, it may change. So far, it's been far easier to write. I've had a much better idea of what I've wanted there. And second book, I'm actually mixing things up quite a bit. It's a bit more of a heist thriller in several ways. There's still the swords and sorcery angle to it, but there's a bit of a darker tone to it as well.
Which the first book had its own kind of share of dark tones. Like, I'll ask like writers in here, so that'll be... Oh, Joe left, so I won't ask him. But Otter and AC, like, how do you guys go about... Oh, I was going to say, how do you... The writers in the group, in our little panel here, how do you go about deciding the level, like, how vividly you're going to display the darker aspects of your story? Justin, stop reading the chat!
I've closed it. I'm only reacting to AC and Bats at this point. I promise I'm trying to keep it together. It's all closed. I'm only reacting to you all. I'm sorry.
What the fuck, dude? Does this happen to any other show where the chat derails all the?
Oh, it happens on a lot of shows.
Apologies, Otter. This is by far the roughest seas we've ever traversed.
You were there for
This is disrespectful to you.
You were there for the Sea Wife episode, Bats. Don't even pretend. Like
I know, man. I'm fucking. I can't. It's like I can't look away, man. I'm
Your
sorry.
your wife was out of control.
I had to close it. I had to close it because it was so good. I closed it about 7 minutes ago, and I pulled it together, and you guys are still laughing. It's pulling me off track.
But to answer your question, Kahuna, I really actually I don't put a filter on it, and it's very much a stream of thought, and I'm actually kind of I just let that flow and kind of focus on the other mission I have, which is describing everything in a certain way, right? I basically just imagine what what realistically would happen, and then I just kind of go from there, and I don't sugarcoat it basically. So
yeah, and even with me, my method isn't too far from yours, AC. I mean,
I'm okay.
I mean, there's a certain level of you as an author. It's like your main characters are going to have to suffer to a certain extent just for the story to actually happen, so they can grow.
Yeah, so just imagine what would really happen when that dragon swipes him or hits him with fire or whatever. Like, yeah, Luke Stone is gonna have to draw eyeballs running down people's faces and flesh curling back.
Well, that's the thing too. Like, and the story can still get very vivid with its darker aspect and still be good. Example, AC, I don't know if you've read Berserk, but Otter and I and a bunch of others, including Bat Sauce, are going through all of the deluxe volumes right now, and it's very dark, and there's a visual element which just makes it even harder to kind of get around that.
And see, I don't get anywhere near Berserk, right? Like I don't even veer into the sexual direction, right? It's just,
you need to go Berserk.
But you could make an argument that it's I get just as brutal in the other aspects, like I just described, the eyeballs melting and the flesh curling back and stuff from Dragon.
Well, I think a lot of it comes down to not only what you show, but what you imply is happening in your story. Because in a lot of worlds, in a lot of settings, a lot of the same kind of like monstrous actions you'll see in the real world are happening, like in many ways, just in the exact same ways, if not worse. But it all comes down to how much of it you actually show and talk about.
And also the way you treat it, treat it as well. That comes down to tone, like Otter was saying. Yeah,
it comes down to tone. It really comes down to that intended effect. Like, what do you want to feel while you're reading it? And I think that's, like, as simple-minded as it sounds, I really think that's kind of like one of the ultimate determining factors behind it. How do you want to feel whenever you're reading this, whenever you're watching it, whenever you're playing it?
Yeah, and what angle are you approaching it from? Like, do you just say, oh, and then they sacked the village, moved on to the next one, sacked 2 more, and then made it to the capital? Or do you go in and do you walk through the streets and show, like, the carnage that would really be unfolding when any city is, like, deleted, essentially?
Right. I mean, it's like, it's overstated already, but show don't tell. Like, you're wanting to show what happens in your story. Now, how much you reveal to your audience, that's up to you. But at the same time, you want to paint a scene. You actually want to kind of put you in the shoes of these characters, where they're going, what they're going through, what they're learning. That's the fun of storytelling. And just being able to put yourself right there with them, like, when it works, it really, really works. It's just getting to that point.
Yeah, and like people talk about Game of Thrones and the Song of Ice and Fire being dark, and it is, but he could be a lot darker. Like at one point, like when there's a riot in King's Landing, the young Stark woman is taken, and she's about to be how do I say this? Aggressively copulated with against her will. And she is saved. But there is another girl. It doesn't talk about explicitly what happens to her. It's just implied that she, against her will, copulated with about 50 different men.
In
and
manga.
and then the characters were like, "Oh, she's being so dramatic." I'm like, "Excuse me."
Yeah, it's a good example. You know, so yeah, dude. Yeah, I know what scene you're talking about. I think the way he puts it is like, yeah, the character's reliving his trauma, so it's not framed as a good thing, to be honest, right? And yeah, I think the way George puts it is like, I had over 50 silver coins pouring out of my hand, or something like that. Or she
Okay,
had.
I'm
She
good.
had
I just took the chat
Yeah.
off. But yeah, no. When I mean, that's like when you write some darker material. Like I wrote a grimdark, right? And you gotta really toe that line too, where you're like, all right, when does it become like torture porn? You know? But I'm not saying that your book ever goes into. I mean, I'm only because of Ernest. I'm only halfway through. So sadly, I can't give my stamp of approval, but I kind of changed subjects with the book. With what I liked from it was the little feel I got from the magic system. I love classic sword and sorcery type stories, and then also whenever I get a feel like there's a cool magic system, that's my bread and butter right there.
Yeah.
Especially the Sciomancer or whatever, the demon summoner. That was a cool little touch.
Sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed that's something that kind of like, depending on how much anyone who's read through the book, they either like it or kind of in between about it. They've usually complimented the magic system in some way, shape, or form, which I actually think is really interesting.
Yeah, I mean it's a good thing, right? A magic system to me is kind of like a character in a sense.
It is.
Not so much as the world building would be a character, but I mean I guess part of the world building. But yeah, no, I felt like the way they get their powers is more interesting touch. That it's what can they be born with it, or is it they are specifically bestowed upon it by like a god?
Different ways.
Just a
It's
couple
different ways. It's more that it's that some people have more knack for it than others. It's just whether they hone it naturally or they're awakened suddenly with it.
Yeah. Well, it's like whenever you read anyone's story, you can kind of get a feel of what they put time and effort into. Not like they're not all trying to create good stories, but I definitely got the sense that like
everybody specializes.
Exactly, that you've had some experience with magic systems and even just like a what's it called, pantheon of like gods and stuff like that. And I like that. I like that little detail that you focus on that. I mean, it gave similar praise for Record of Paladin with his magic system. Yeah.
It was, I mean, it's going to sound strange, the reasoning for that, but I think a lot of that comes from the fact where I kind of went from writing more in kind of like a tabletop sense, like sort of like going from a dungeon master to a writer. I think that's where a lot of that came from.
100%.
World building is a ton of fun, and the setting was how I started the actual story, and I just kind of went from there, and it evolved from there. Which I know not everybody starts off with setting, and frankly, depending on how you go about it, I'd recommend against it. But it's something where, for someone like me, it just works.
I was going to touch on that. It is recommended, like especially to new writers, to like don't focus on the world building aspect, right? I feel like that's just because more of a time thing, because like some people end up world building forever and never get to the writing aspect, or just kind of forget that part.
Well, I
don't think that happened in your story, but
I think the problem is a lot of people who start with the world building get way too focused on the minor details about it. For me, it's like I want to start asking myself big questions about the world, like what's the geography like, then start going deeper with it. How did it get that way? Where might it go? Is there a reason behind it? So it's like you start asking yourself more of kind of like these like philosophical questions, and that's kind of how the gods sort of sprung about for me. And from there, it's just that's sort of how the stories kind of like pop up. Like, I'm not trying to go too much into detail because a lot of the fun of writing is coming up with smaller details for your worlds as you're writing each book. Like, not actually focusing in it too much with your notes.
Yeah.
But that's just me. I know every author is different in that respect.
Yeah, but it's
Well, I've seen people write themselves, like lure themselves to death to the point where they're no longer able to tell the story they want to tell because they have too many limitations.
But it worked for Tolkien, you know? Granddaddy of fantasy.
Razor Fist was the same way. He has like 2,000 years of history too. It's some people can do it, not everyone can.
Yeah, I guess it's just like it's not recommended for some people because obviously not everyone's Tolkien. But it's like I don't know. Some people have a little bit of that touch, you know, a little bit of touch of that tism. So
some people actually have to write like have everything like actually written down somewhere, whether it's in the story or not. Others are good at faking it. Like go into great detail in some stuff and imply the detail exists in other areas, even if you don't explore it.
I have a great method of faking it, so to speak. But you know what? You eventually make it. You go this way because it's a great way to just start that iceberg, right? The tip of it, and that's with names. I feel like names and titles.
Start with the tip, the beautiful tip.
Yes, work the tip, but you start with names, and the story kind of writes itself, right? If you're kind of stuck, you can try naming the city, and then like how you went about the name, it can kind of like tell a lot about the backstory, right? If the
I
name
don't do that. It's definitely a good. It's definitely a good tip. But dude, if you look at
Just
all
if somebody,
my names.
Yeah, if somebody gets stuck. Yeah, I'm just saying. Yeah, like if somebody gets stuck,
I'll call somebody Jim for like until I finish it. Then I'll go back and put their name.
Oh,
in.
I did that at first.
I do suggest it though. It's just
don't suggest that. No, I don't suggest that.
We've been talking about like world building in your guys' books and storytelling stuff for like 20 minutes now, and the chat is still making up Ernest movies.
I hope they do. I hope they continue.
It's pretty tremendous.
Come up with another joke, chat.
I think the big thing behind names, I think they especially work for sci-fi and fantasy.
Yes.
I mean, you were talking about like faking it to a certain extent with your world building, but it's kind of like it's more like you're coming up with the tip of the iceberg, and then it's like you're getting a feel for like the deeper meaning behind it. Like the name can be something that's like vaguely related to the real world, but you start asking yourself the question, what is kind of like the general emphasizing with like each vowel or whatever? Is there a reason behind it? Like, is it a higher sounding language? Then maybe there are more regal people, and you start going from there.
And then why? You just keep asking why, and then how.
Well, again, that's what I love about knowing the artist or the author in this case, and then also reading their story, because it shows a more complete picture, and I can see what each of you focuses on in different ways. And it is illuminating both on your character, and you are illuminating on the certain aspects of your book. Like one thing, you both wrote kind of shorter, like, hey, this is AC, and I have your book at home, Bat Sauce, calm down. Stop freaking out. No, but both your books are like fairly like shorter variety kind of length. Yeah. Shorter than average. It's fine. It's
not the size.
I mean, it's not the size that matters, honestly. It's the page count.
It's how the story on.
It's actually bigger than it looks. It's just the camera. It's like the opposite of a wide angle. Anyway,
it's deeper than it looks, brother. It's deeper than it looks.
Well, I also see it like this, especially whenever you're writing your first book. It's probably more of an advantage to go with a smaller story to start off with, and then each story getting bigger and bigger as it goes. Because
I'm trying to stop. There we go.
That way you're getting more of a feel for kind of like the art of storytelling, so you can go with the grander, deeper narratives like later on, and you're not having quite as many problems with it.
Yeah. And I'm curious with both of you, because I've both read a book from you. I know you're both writing quite a few other things. I'm curious to see how your guys' writing will develop. Like what you will... Because inevitably what you do is you try to level up all your basic writing skills to a certain point, and then you start to specialize and focus in on what you're really good at. Yeah. And I'm curious what both of you, and Bat Sauce as well, as you guys write more and more, what you guys will become... I'm sorry, guys. The chat is... insane.
Dude, just turn off.
I can't. It's on the stream.
The day the Ernest stood
go to
still.
private chat.
Otter, what do you kind of?
That's better.
what do you kind of lean towards or like look forward to with writing? As far as like, I'm thinking about what Kahuna's asking here. Like, I think I know what he's saying. Like, every author kind of develops their thing or their specialty or their.
Like, Abercrombie writes character exceptionally well, even if they're all bad people that Justin wouldn't like.
Right, and furthermore, like specific aspects of character, not just general character, right? Like, it's like you could have a whole slew of authors with all these different elements of character that they're all the best at, right?
Well, it's like with him, it's like I'll give an example, very specific. With Abercrombie, a lot of these characters feels like people you could know, but they also perfectly fit into an epic fantasy story. That's very hard to do for those who haven't tried it. It's very hard to make a bigger-than-life person also feel like maybe a neighbor at some point.
Yeah.
Well, at the very least for me, when it comes to what I'm looking forward to in writing, I'll say this. One of my all-time favorite writers, Big Shock, is Robert E. Howard. And one of the things I've always loved about Robert E. Howard is how he can make his character feel small compared to the greater world, but still give them like a defiant voice. That's one of the things I've always loved about Robert E. Howard. It's one of the reasons why I love reading Berserk as well.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah.
Howard is the GOAT, honestly. Like, he is the preemptor of so much good fantasy writing, especially the more sword and sorcery and dark fantasy side of it, because he's pre-Moorcock. I love Moorcock, and Moorcock is the granddaddy of a lot of dark fantasy.
Well,
but yeah, seeing like the line of progression through history, it's very easy to be inspired by those titans of the old.
So one of the things I look forward to the most is whenever you're taking character and you're giving like high concept ideas that they have to face head on. And it's like, it can be a question where there is no clear answer to it. In fact, it can be something where it's inherently against them, but they have to find a way to press forward. And that's one of the themes I'm trying to kind of tackle to a certain extent with Steel and Stormbright, where it's something where they're just two kids in a wider world and they have to learn how to survive. And some of it, like, are they even on the right side? Because it seems like the antagonists, they're trying to build a paradise. It's a really fucked up paradise, but they call it paradise.
An idyllic paradise, reviewed by a Mel Nibinayan. Anyway.
Yes.
Real quick.
A perfect society. Continue.
AC,
yes,
I will just say your book just got its first confirmed kill. So.
Ooh, what do you mean?
Who did?
Sorry.
Oh, lit.
With his book? It's a white book. It's a white book. How could you? There's like Otter. I'm not saying your book is less valuable, but it's glossy and it's not effing white.
Look, I had two books. I felt like disrespectful to use our guest book.
He's like, I know AC better. Screw his book.
It'll add character to that plain white.
Sorry, guys. Real quick, Grave of the Earnest Flies. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Oh, bro.
I like either way, on the Earnest front.
Earnest Cemetery. Yeah, it keeps going.
Steel and Stormbright. I mean,
Steel.
from when
If you were a president, you'd be Abraham Lincoln.
Sorry, I'm General Karst, not Surst, like freaking Billy Bob says.
Yeah.
Greater?
In fantasy, I'm expecting my names to be pronounced wrong at some point.
But he's known since before the book was published.
He's known, and he's just trolling me this entire time.
Why is it not commonplace to put the names phonetically pronounced, like in the back of the book or something like that?
They do. A lot of books do.
Mentioned
they do.
Actually, something I did.
Yep, a lot of, especially fantasy books should do it more, but a lot of them do, especially modernly written ones.
So hang on, Blair and Billy Bob Sack still got it wrong, or is he just messing with you?
He's messing, but he also, like, he's the only person I go to. I'm like, say this word in Japanese. I want to hear you say it. I want to hear you kill in 3 languages in one go.
Gozaimasu.
Hold
Oh,
up.
it pissed me
Yes,
off. I read
Warren
a book
just
and then
said
find out
Curse
it's
of the
possible.
Earnest raids. Now I'm part of it.
Yeah.
See, and what adds to it is every time Bats looks over to do anything and he's face to face with the chief back there, that's not helping me at all.
I love how the movie opened with the Aztec, the Aztec Native American stuff. It was great. Anyway, Steel and Storm. So yeah, your thing you said is like coming of age stories is like focusing on plot. Is that what you were kind of getting at there?
Yeah, I could say I'm more of a plot writer than character if we're talking about how I start a story. I'll start with plot and then I let character change that plot as I'm going along. I know
very D&D. That's your D&D background, kind of pushing that. You start off with the idea of what's going to happen, and then the characters change everything.
Yeah, and it probably doesn't help that, like, whenever I was actually writing this book, I was taking inspiration from a lot of what inspired D&D, so it's going to feel more D&D that way. Like, Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser, the Dying Earth, a lot of those are, like, prime inspirations for first edition D&D.
Fancy stuff.
Yeah. I have a couple of his books. I haven't read them yet, though.
I love that term, Vancian.
The Twin Moons, Taldriath and Bruin, that was directly inspired by Dying Earth. How he's kind of like focusing on the celestial bodies, like where it's kind of like every here and there, it'll just focus on what's happening above, how it's affecting the world. Then it'll just kind of ignore it, like refocus back on Kugel or whoever's in the scene.
I'm realizing something that I'm kind of naturally drifting towards that I didn't even intend on to begin with. You know, it's weird. Like Kahuna's question really is just like dwelling with me. Like every writer's thing that they they gravitate towards over time as they mature. A lot of my characters die. You know, and I know what it's like to be like sick and stuff. Like I've gotten pretty close to that, and so I think there's some weird stuff going on there, but it only makes me want to lean into it more, right? Because like I think that's one of my one of my strong suits with my combat, right? Is I try to make it kind of like the Bourne Identity, where it's like quick, bing bang boom. It's like a samurai duel, but then right when that moment strikes, all of a sudden everything slows down drastically. It's like quick. Oh, the battle's over, but the death is slow. Right?
Yeah.
Because death is slow. It's not just as soon as I touch you, you just fall over, it's lights out. No, you got to bleed out first, and there's more to it. You're going to start shivering and sweating at the same time.
Getting the right pacing for your book is critical, and it's very hard to do because some books are fine being breakneck pace, and others would suffer greatly.
So I guess my overall takeaway is I feel like my future lies in tension building. Just through the way I described it.
So one of my
sexual tension
favorite inspirations for fight scenes in general is Samurai Jack. I think one of the biggest episodes, which I try to put in like almost all my fight scenes, was there's an episode where like 5 assassins are in like a hut and they're all coming up with their plan and how they're going to take down Samurai Jack. And like by the end of each one of them discussing their plan, you're like, dude, there's no way Samurai Jack gets out of this. He's screwed. They got him. And then next thing you know, the plan falls apart immediately because Jack just too good and he takes him out. And it's just
and then he's like, what if I swing my sword even harder than before?
What if they grab my sword? I just grab it back. Didn't think about that.
Whoa! Like as a child, like my mind's blown. What?
Yeah. Dude, it's so good. And so I'll have a lot of my fight scenes. It's like, man, if you hear a lot of this planning going on, you're like, damn, they got this in the bag. They don't got it in the bag.
Have any of you guys watched Primal?
Yeah,
I have not. I really need to watch that.
That is easily one of my favorite animated things that exist. It's one of my favorite stories that exist. And I'll just say, back to the previous point, that Saving Private Ryan actually is a great example. Like, I feel like I bring some of that energy, and we all know the scene I'm talking about. That's probably the most drawn out it would be.
I don't know what's Primal.
Primal is great. It's
thank you. What is it?
Same studio that did Samurai Jack.
Same.
It's the same creator. He's doing. Think if you mixed Conan the Barbarian with Tarzan and dinosaurs, then you get Primal.
Yeah.
Like he does the short stuff, like the little animated stuff, right?
Yeah.
I've seen that. It's really cool. It's like a caveman, like Conan with his little dinosaur buddy. They both have the tragic backstory. Yeah, it's great, man. The little
they share
portions
a tragic backstory actually on top
I
of it.
actually like it a little more than Samurai Jack. If I'm gonna be controversial, I still love Samurai Jack.
I don't know if that's controversial from what I hear. I need to watch it. I mean, that guy's a legend. I mean, he also
isn't it silent also?
Yeah, there's no dialogue. Or if there's any dialogue, it's all in a language you are not supposed to recognize.
Yeah,
the best episode is one of the best episodes of Samurai Jack. The tower with the 3 blind guys shooting arrows. There was not a word said.
So sick.
Yeah. Talk about
Genndy Tartakovsky. Genndy Tartakovsky, absolute legend. One of my heroes, to be honest. I would love if he animated one of my stories one day. Come do Queen Votisa, brother. Let's do some animate my novel. Let's go. We'll do one.
Bro, you know what would be cool? Like a 1917 film style of Memory of Mortality. Maybe add a little bit more, make it a little clearer, but
I know.
that would be like if you get the lighting right and the atmosphere, that would be very, very cool.
Because there is time jumps, but you could just do a very clever transition where it kind of blurs, and then because the main character, the protagonist, is kind of out of it anyway, right? So it's just kind of like memento, right, mixed with that. But anyway,
is there any desire as a writer to go in the polar opposite direction of what you're comfortable and familiar with? Like, keep your style, retain that style. But if you're used to writing the guy, like, you know,
There's
a lot of your stories.
I think if you're stuck, there is. I'll be right back. Yeah.
But just to go in the opposite direction and see if you can, just to stretch your wings. Maybe it's not something you publish, but
I feel like there's not a desire to do it, but like that's probably the best thing you can do. And again, the example I always bring up is Yu Yu Hakusho, the writer, started by writing romance. And then he went to writing two of the best manga series, action manga series ever.
I
So
guess
it's just having those opposite like types
there's a
of
broader question
storytelling.
here.
Mhm.
As an author, so I mean, even as a musician, I write like pop punk, I do pop stuff, I do metal, I do like darker stuff, and there's a little bit of a spectrum. I've done pure pop. As an author,
I'm also on the spectrum. Thank you.
All right. Nice. Excellent. Excellent. All right. Is it the kind of thing where it's better to find the thing you're good at and just go in that direction, or to do scattershot and try different things and to see that maybe if you like doing X, there's an audience over here and you can kind of do that? Is there any desire to try these different types of stories and see what happens? Or is it mostly just like, nope, I do my thing. We just put our nose down to the grindstone and have at it?
Not saying I'm doing it, but it's probably better for you as a creator to diversify. I think always diversifying your abilities and whatnot is always the better answer. But financially, it's probably better to specialize and key into the audience. With anything, right? With like YouTube and stuff like that. Like YouTube, like you got to stick to what you're creating to gather that audience.
I know you specialize. Yeah, that's what I guess I'm going to get is everything algorithmic. But if you could have a YouTube channel for different topics, like I like topic X is my favorite, but there's also YZ ABC. Should I try these other things and see where I can find an audience, or should I just stick with what I want to do? And we talked about this before, that balance of where you can find people, your skill set, and all of that as well. We talked about before. It's kind of something we've hit on in this show, but I don't know, because there's certain people I like the writing style, and I would love. You're right. I'd be curious to see, but I don't know how often it happens that artists branch out and do these other things.
Everyone would advise you for financially, like when you're writing, to write in the same genre. Because it's all, because they say it's all about building an audience, and so you know they're gonna try to invest in the author most likely. So if the writer writes sci-fi, they're gonna read the writer's sci-fis, and then if he starts doing like fantasy or something like that, that same audience, maybe a little of them, but most of them are probably not going to pick up that fantasy.
Sure,
I'm not speaking like I have experience saying that. That's just kind of what I've heard.
If you could,
which sucks for me because I have the.
I think it depends. I think it depends on the kind of writer you are, because like I don't love every Stephen King book that I write, but I know some people who will read anything he writes down, including a grocery list.
Well, that's because he's with the pedophile elite, so you know.
At least so
I'm
far as-
sorry. How did it get past editors?
I have
Thank
no
you.
clue.
Thank you.
What
Thank
the
you.
fuck?
I think it was back like the literary
Back
world
in the
didn't
day, it
have.
was all right back then. What?
I'm not saying it's all right,
I
man.
know. It's low.
No, we are all. Every single one of us is allowed to have an opinion here. There's no discrimination.
It's fine.
Well, on the note of writing, we were talking about like writing in different genres. This might just be my two kahunas, but diversifying what you write early on seems like a pretty good idea while you're still developing your style.
Before you get the audience, yeah.
Right, before you get the audience. After you get the audience trying to change to a different genre, it's tough.
You could end up like Brian McCoppin having a non-fiction book about work that sells more than your fantasy books that you love and actually work on.
He also has a romance novel.
Those Indians, they look at him to find more IT books, and they're like, "What the fuck? Record of Paladins?
Record of the Paladins? This does not look like IT book. What is this?
How can I learn for the Record of Paladins?"
I cannot find Vishnu.
Why is he fighting on each other?
Look at Howard. He made like 20 characters. He threw a lot of stuff at the wall until Conan stuck. He wanted Kane, but Conan was printing money. And like look how many people like wrote Conan after him. How many of them actually did the character justice when they wrote him? Very few of them, in my opinion. At least, they weren't all bad, but they just didn't have that same flavor that Howard had when he wrote it. And honestly, like I'm with you, Metal. I think Solomon Kane was a far superior character, at least in my opinion.
Even try looking at some of Howard's other stories. Like, not all of his stories are gold. Not even a master like him. Like, some of his earlier stories, like, I've read some of his historical tales, and, like, compared to, like, Solomon Kane or Conan, some of them are still good, but they are nowhere near the same level of quality.
Right.
So it's like even a master like Robert E. Howard was still taking risks with his work, which you need to do. It's like you can't just sit and try and write the same variation of the same story like over and over. It's like you got to take risks to a certain extent.
Is it
Otherwise,
maybe
you're
a
not
good
really
idea?
improving?
Is it maybe a good idea then as an author to try out these different things early, even if you have the one in mind that you're going to push? Those seeds are planted. So you
Otter
can
was
always
saying.
come back and revisit them. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And then short story writing, right?
Yeah, short story writing is a great way to experiment. And it's
it's fun. It's easy. Yeah. Like I've like there's a lot of groups that are out there doing like short story compilations, and like by a whole bunch of people. Even Anvil magazine is like that. Shout out.
Iron Age Media runs the short stories weekly. Image or whatever it's called. Where you write
prompt.
Image prompt.
Yeah, well, I have whole stories based off of some of those prompts. Gave me ideas for like some of my world building. It's very cool.
And we were talking about AI earlier. This is one of the best applications of AI is inspiration. Like, each of those prompts has an AI image to go along with it to help inspire your story. And that's one thing AI is very good at. It's not very coherent, but it is good at kind of like sparking different parts of your mind that will help give you an idea. That's something that it's really, really good for. And in that sense, I have nothing against AI art in that respect for purely inspiration.
Yeah, no, and like
that sounds a little backwards. Don't you use your imagination to prompt the AI? Not to.
Well, sometimes you just got to see the idea in front of you in one way.
Like me, I'm
wrong. It sounds like
some of my. Well, it sounds like it, but like honestly, I'd rather have something inspired by a very basic work done by AI and finished by a thoughtful, caring person, rather than a person prompting the AI to do all the work for you. That seems more earnest to me, anyway.
But those prompts learned from something real, so
I feel like AI at its best is that volley back and forth where you start as the creator, you send it there, it comes back, you say no, you fix this, you send, and you take that and kind of go with it. I think that's the broader takeaway there, that you see something and then go with it, and you might have had an idea to start to get some ideas, and that volley starts getting going to get your brain in gear.
Yeah.
I think it's more of a good idea for brainstorming. As for developing solid ideas that branch out into stories, that takes a bit more legwork. But just for kind of like helping your mind to try and come up with very basic concepts, I think that's where it's pretty good, because you're kind of getting that already from a lot of art pieces, a lot of stories that you're reading. So it's very good in that basic sense, like very basic.
You would actually be surprised if you typed in the technical terms of everything and just kind of visualized your character top to bottom and went down describing everything and typed that into an AI, how actually kind of close it gets. And I mean, it gets a lot wrong. It's not perfect, nothing you'd use, but you can see like
what is happening to his hand. What's wrong with it?
Yeah, that too.
It's gotten better about that, but the hands are almost always like slightly
feet,
funky. Dude.
Eyes, more than one character in a frame. It's terrible with all of those.
Founding fathers, all of it.
Even my like the AI filters I use, the only like AI stuff I really do, it like the eyes are almost always wrong. Almost always.
Yeah, I mean, but some simple, quick editing can make that way easier. And then, yeah, it always struggles with more than one person. It's like, okay, so prompt one person, prompt another person, put them together, boom.
Put them together.
When you say put together, it's like they're actually branching out from the same body. It's just
it's just like
sets of limbs or whatever.
They look like the Family Guy child of Miss Piggy and Kermit. Kill me!
Lovecraftian.
Lovecraft. No, that's the perfect word.
Well, it's like Cronenberg, actually.
I've actually thought of this as an idea. One good use of AI I could see for inspiration is if you're trying to do horror, you just feed something into the prompt and you're trying to get kind of like a horrific creature outside of it. I guarantee you the AI will come up with something that's truly uncanny and terrifying.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Sorry, AC. Those sounds were just what? What was going on there?
Those are agreement noises. I said, oh yeah.
How about this, fellas? How about this, fellas? Why do you think the Paragon characters or the true? I'm sure there's lots of reasons, but like even when in the mainstream when they're writing like their heroes. Why aren't they're not making them heroic? They could have just tried to like create these characters and be like, and this is your hero now, and be like, okay, well,
Ernest again.
I think so. Yeah,
they never saw.
I thought they were I thought they were slowing down.
I was making a joke. I was talking about you.
I know.
Like failed protagonist.
So they're talking about them writing their heroes.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Ernest. How the Ernest.
So you were talking about the heroic characters and the writing these heroic characters. You're saying whenever they write them, they.
Well, even their heroic characters aren't heroic. Is it that they don't know what heroism truly is? Do you think that's the problem with a lot of modern writers face?
So some of it I think is that problem. I also think a part of the problem is they're focusing in the wrong place. Like whenever a Paragon character is done badly, they feel like a Mary Sue to me. And So a good example of a Paragon character being done right, like Conan's a Paragon character, for example. And so with a lot of Paragon characters, it's less of the character growing. It's more about the adventure they're going through and how they're being challenged along it, how they're overcoming it.
I mean, you literally have people that think because you came over on a boat and you're automatically evil, or your ancestors did. If your ancestors came over on a boat, you're automatically evil. And then if you have a skin color, even though your ancestors were slavers, you're automatically good. You know what I mean?
Well, it's because they're putting value in things that are not based on moral or anything sub. They're basing what is good off of what is
subjective.
No, not even subjective. It's like Batsaw said, like off of skin color. There's nothing heroic about its skin color. Nothing. There's nothing bad about its skin color. It's just it's an attribute. That'd be like writing a D&D character and like, this character has blue eyes, therefore he's a hero.
Or black hair. There you go. Yeah.
This man has large set kahunas, therefore he is the king of this land. Yeah. Actually, that checks out.
At its core, I really see a Paragon character. It comes down to their moral code, who they are and how they're treating others. Now, there can be flaws in that moral code. I mean, how many people have pointed out Batman and said, like, the Joker is killing, like, hundreds of people or dozens.
Batman!
Yeah, but like,
at the end of the day, he goes, I can't kill people. So it's kind of this flawed logic where the Joker is going to get back out into Gotham and start
Razor Fist hit this recently, and I completely agree. It's like the no-kill rule is retarded. Well, I think was the title of the video.
Well, it's like
he's also comparing the Shadow to Batman, and that's not really a fair comparison.
No, but I mean, it's true though. The no-kill rule is kind of retarded, and I think we just kind of accept it because Batman's such a legend, and we let our legend get away with it. But I mean, like, you've seen the Red Hood?
Yeah. That's a great comic too.
Great movie and everything. But you're also like, yeah, but Jason's kind of right. Like, if you don't leave that movie, you're like, wow, this is a great movie, really awesome. But you're like,
well, Batman even kind of like he kind of partially agrees. Like for me, they're always like they always make these stories about why Batman can't kill in these storylines, or they have him kill and that's the story. I'm like, why don't you do it with a character where it's actually interesting? What about Superman? Like if he just moves wrong, somebody's dead. Him deciding that he will not kill something, that's a more interesting story to me.
Well, and it's the same with Spider-Man and the Flash. There's a handful of these supers that have to pull their punches anytime they're fighting a human, otherwise they will just one-shot them. And not only that, cave in their chest, and like they're just done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, also, but I think that's like that you know, it is a great example of like showing a philosophy, right? Like like basically the Red Hood movie shows is the philosophy of no kill, is that like, or do we kill sometimes? It kind of puts that perspective in play. And at the end, the author is telling you that, oh, the moral right is Batman saying no kill, period. But as the viewer, and I think majority of the viewers would watch it and say, look, no, Batman's wrong. Like,
which
am
is
I wrong in
okay.
saying that?
You can set up a story like that.
Which is fine. I love the movie, but I still think Batman's wrong. And I think it was a failed objective if that was the author's objective, trying to show Batman is right, saying we don't kill, period.
Well, for me, it depends.
Code to the extent where I'm not even sure if the authors writing for Batman even agree with him.
Oh, right, because that's part of Batman's lore is he doesn't
authorial intent. Right? Authorial intent. He might have with the intent. Well, he might have went in fully with the intent just to have that as, hey, I'm writing Batman, and that's awesome. He's like, I don't necessarily agree with this character, but I'm writing the character, and he's probably told by somebody else, this is what I'm doing.
But I think where the disparity with Batman comes into play is you could argue for the most part, Batman is mostly a Paragon type character, mostly because he is going through he is abiding by a moral code.
He's closer to an anti-hero in some stories than a real hero, though.
The problem is the moral code he goes by, a lot of people actively disagree with.
Well, other terms for this would be like a Superman type character, right? That's like the most layman version of it. But another term would be like iconic, right? Iconic character, or like you when you make an iconic character, they're level 20 already, they're level 100 already, they're already max level, and the story involves other things like Superman's girlfriend or Batman grasping with killing, you know.
Well, it's like that. A lot of people have trouble with power progression in stories. It's like once they achieve the ultimate power, especially like long term fantasy, like long series, like Wheel of Time and Storm might struggle with this a little bit. It's like oh, they're the ultimate badass. They've done all this, and that, and now this guy who's a warlord is also has powers now, and it's like this.
Yeah.
It's very hard to make it's they encounter the same problem Superman writers do. It's like what happened. Like why is Superman a hard character to write? It's because he is morally immovable. That's one of the main aspects of Superman. He will not morally compromise. And then he's all powerful and all good. How do we make this a character like this interesting in a story? A lot of Superman writers don't know how to do it, and frankly, it is very hard, and that's why. That's why people like to write Batman.
Power scaling is supposed to let your son Gohan take over for the next season and not turn him into a loser nerd.
Well, I think one of the ways you answer that is you change up the type of.
Oh, well, sorry. I actually don't care about Dragon Ball. You're good.
Well, I think one of the big ways to answer that kind of question with power levels is you change up the type of conflict. Like if they're like max level when you have power level against physical power, well, you start challenging them mentally or emotionally, or maybe
exactly. Yeah.
Yes,
change
and also
up the type of conflict.
Stories need to come to an end.
That too.
When you've reached the top of the power scale, it's probably when the story's supposed to end.
Wait, the story has to end? That's where I come in.
Yeah.
Stories absolutely need to end. Your world is interesting because it goes in cycles.
But as bad as it is, Boruto was the right choice for a sequel. Like I said, it's very bad, but going to the younger generation for that series was definitely better than trying to continue with Naruto because the dude's just too OP.
You want to run that by me again, Pritchard Pub? Jesus. Phrasing, anyway.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Almost destroyed.
Oh, yeah. My keyboard's all sticky now. From energy drinks.
I don't like that laughing sound effect you just did.
I liked it.
It was my Ernest.
Perfect.
It was my Ernest.
Now my keyboard's sticky.
It's my Ernest. Yeah, from energy drink. No, easy fix. Just some alcohol. It's fine.
It's
Moving
tough, though,
on.
because a story they need to end. If you have a story that's an absolute smash hit and people love it and they like it, it's hard to just be like, we're done here. Especially if you didn't have, well, maybe you even had an ending in mind, but then it takes off and it's like, oof, we're gonna end this next year. But people love
that
it.
that happened to the guy who wrote Sherlock Holmes. He's like, I've enjoyed the fame and the wealth that I've garnered writing this character. This is the definitive story, the last story. He's dead. And then they harassed him for like 5 or 6 years, and he's like, fine! Yeah. I'll bring him back.
So it's always not the author, and it happens in manga all the time. Like,
look at Naruto while we're on that subject. Like, wasn't it that
Naruto
Kishimoto was about to end the series? The thing is, Naruto was on top of the world, so Shonen Jump just shook their heads. And
he's like, I think I might retire. Oh, no, you don't.
What did we get from that? We got the 4 Ninja War arc.
The longest, that might be the longest shonen arc of all time. In shonen specifically, that may be the longest arc of all time.
It could have been like it was so close to it. Well, not close, but it could have been perfect. And yeah, he could have done. But anyways, Yu Yu Hakusho, I know a lot on, and yeah, it happened to him too. Same dude did Hunter x Hunter. So
He
basically,
did quit. His organs were shutting down by the end with Yu Yu Hakusho, wasn't it? He was.
I mean, he was
not in a
having
good
some
place.
health issues, but that was more into Hunter x Hunter.
He had to quit Yu Yu Hakusho. There is an actual letter written by him to his fans where he's kind of talking about how he could only sleep like 4 hours a night. He was constantly thinking about Yu Yu Hakusho. Like the reason why he quit it off was because he couldn't do it.
No, he wasn't allowed to put it off. So the history of it. The reason that he's allowed to go on all these hiatuses with Hunter x Hunter was because he killed Yu Yu Hakusho intentionally. If you see the last season of it, and it happened in the manga, it just went downhill like crazy hard. It was really bad. And so
It's
basically,
a very abrupt ending.
He's like, I'll do it again.
Well, yeah,
you dare me.
No, like seriously, he basically like he was going through all this crazy stuff. He was like, dude, Yusuke's story is over. Like, stop it. And so he basically is like, all right. He just wrote a crap story on purpose, and it tanked. And he did it. And he basically went to the studio. He's like, all right, I can write another story and make you money, but you're gonna let me take as long a breaks as I want. And they're like, fine. So yeah, like he literally tanked it because they wouldn't let him stop otherwise. Which sucks. The story is awesome.
I think Sherlock Holmes was a great example to bring up Kahuna because he's a fantastic, iconic character, or if you will, archetype, or what was your term, Otter? What did you say?
Paragon?
Paragon. Yes, a paragon, because like he think about it, guys. Perfect textbook breakdown, right? He's as smart as he needs to be, right? That's his thing, right? And these paragons are whatever as they need to be to solve the problem. Like Superman is like everything, right? So he's kind of a hard example to break down, but Sherlock is a great example because he's a paragon of his thing, which is like solving problems, right? He has like this crazy Nikola Tesla type mind that can just visualize everything, and that's kind of his, like he's smart enough, right?
Excellent.
I also kind of look at Paragon. Well,
Uh-oh.
Can't hear you, Otter.
Yeah. Otter,
Barely.
get your mic out of your throat.
You take it out of your bucket.
How's the mic now?
Good.
Much better now that you pulled it out of your rectum.
I have no idea what went on there. Which probably will make this clip.
Hey, look, furry stuff is furry stuff. We don't judge. All right?
I was gonna.
It's too long.
Much better.
It is too long.
I feel a lot better now.
Yeah. Okay. What were you saying?
Well, this is kind of something you could apply to paragons, but I think it goes beyond even paragons because it's like when you're establishing
Beyond the paragon.
when you're giving a hero a certain philosophy that they're abiding by, I kind of see it like each new conflict or each new villain or antagonist they're coming across, it's like the protagonist has like an answer, but each villain you're coming across, they're asking a different question to try and test that philosophy. So it's like it's having to become more nuanced with each story, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, one of the topics that I proposed had to do with philosophy and writing, and kind of how like I feel like for me it's almost like a must in stories to have some sort of philosophy intertwined with your story or your arc. Like
it's not really very interesting without it.
Right. Well, exactly. It ties in directly to themes, and it's like, what do you want the takeaway to your story being? Like, even if it's just something as simple as freedom or revenge or something like that, it's how you tell that.
Well, you don't even have to give an answer. You just have to ask the question through characters and circumstance and dialogue. Like, I'm reading a bunch of Jane Austen books right now, like men know it, like men do.
Like a real man.
Like a real... Oh, it takes a real man to read Jane Austen.
Some Jane Ernest books?
Also, I will say Sense and Sensibilities is a pale loser when compared to Pride and Prejudice. They're both good, but like it's like she tried it with one and then she really got everything right with the other. Anyway, but yeah, no, her character, the dialogue in her stories is really fantastic, and it reveals so much about how the society viewed things at the time, and how each individual character views themselves and others within that social context. And it's very philosophically interesting to explore themes in a story like that, because it's a different time, different author, and from a perspective that, frankly, I'm pretty far away from. But yeah, like, what about you guys? What's a book where you really dug the perspective and the philosophical questions and things of that nature?
Black Company.
Berserk.
Berserk is a really...
Oh, Berserk! I thought you said Zerk. I thought you were like Zerk. Zerk.
Zerk. No, Berserk. Yeah,
Berserk. Yes.
It's plenty of Nikolai. The German guy.
Nikolai
Nietzsche?
Nietzsche, and Carl Jung. Yeah, so it's basically those guys' philosophies. Carl Jung.
Carl Jung.
Yeah, Jung.
Carl Hung. What?
Jung?
What?
What?
Jung. Carl Jung.
If she were a president, she'd be Abraham Lincoln.
Jung.
You know, Yoon, Abraham Lincoln.
It is Young. I know.
Yeah.
They pronounce it Yoon.
Yeah.
There's a J.
I don't know.
Really.
It's because of Berserk and the Berserk influenced properties, where I find a lot of these other properties that use those philosophers intertwined into the story. I tend to find the most interesting, and I really like when that stuff gets dissected out of it. That's why I watch a lot of like YouTubers that will dissect the philosophy used in video games.
Real quick, I said, haha, they are running out. Pathetic. And they started in earnest again. Surprise.
Yeah.
Surprise.
So, Otter, what after we've established all this stuff about like inner philosophy, right? Side by side with the writing, it's got me thinking about it this whole time as I'm kind of listening to you guys talk here. And I would say, because of how much I focus on, like, you know, I mentioned the whole death thing earlier and knowing sickness and all that. So like mortality would be like something I examine, which then leads to kind of like an examination of how one lives their life. When you like look at all my characters, it's like what they decided to do with their ambition in their lives, you know? So I would say it would, I don't know the term for just like taking control of your own life, but I guess the will to live your life, right, would be like what I examine with the time that you're given, like mortality. Maybe it would be a simpler way to put it. So like, what's your philosophy?
The philosophy I'd say in my book is life can be painful. How do you deal with that pain? Do you let it overtake you, or do you let it actually strengthen you?
So how
mostly screaming woo into the wind.
Like coping, right? Like how different people cope.
Yes.
Yeah, that's actually a good.
I think either conquer it or let it conquer you.
And
it's more like, will you step up to the plate even when life has you down?
Yeah,
I think that's a good way of looking at your characters in your book.
Think of the countless ways people cope with anything. There's so many stories and so many characters there. Each of those is a character, right?
I mean, the philosophy in my book is more: are you retarded? And can you use that against people?
Yes. Dunce Whisper?
Yeah.
That sounds like a yes.
This stuff will make you a damn sexual tyrannosaurus, just like me.
Because I like to think of Aunt May from Spider-Man 2. I think there's a retard in all of us.
Exactly, yes.
There's an illness in all of us.
I didn't even have to modulate my voice.
We're all the retard all along.
There's one part I wanted to make a point of with...
To hold a retard in the palm of my hand. Anyway, sorry. Enough Spider-Man 2.
There's one point I wanted to make with Steel and Stormbright is that even the antagonists have a variation of that theme as kind of like their belief. Like their whole mantra is pain and pleasure. The more pain you endure, the more pleasure you get.
Yeah.
Well, it's like it's a sick twisting of that kind of like core idea.
Yeah. Corruption of coping.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you would. Yeah, that's the direction you would go with that. Just like similarly, my ultimate hero, or maybe even my ultimate villain, I'll say, is probably. It is actually my ultimate villain is the way I have thought of realistically conquering death. Right in my world, if death is the examination, or mortality is, and like how we will our lives. Is the examination, then the ultimate paragon character, right, is going to be the person who conquers that. Whether that's the ultimate the paragon antagonist, or the paragon hero, right? That's the route I went. I'm really curious about Bat Sauce with Dawn Edge. What's your philosophy there, dude?
Tell me about how you edge a Dawn. I'll tell you. I'll write it on my blog.
Before the message goes away, you want to highlight that again?
Yeah, real quick. I did have something to say about that.
And I will say with Otter's, I haven't got far enough to know this, but so I would guess is the antagonist kind of a reflection, like a moral or philosophical reflection of the protagonist, where it's like they conquer, they overcome their strife, whereas in the antagonist kind of is overcome by it and lets it turn him into a cruel, twisted person.
Yeah, you could so I won't. Some of it will bleed into the book too, but at the very least, in the scope of this book, you could very much argue that with Steel and Stormbright, the two brothers, it goes from a pretty much like they are overcoming their strife and becoming stronger people, whereas for the antagonist, it's almost like a Greek tragedy. They start out with everything, and by the end, they are swiftly losing what they have.
They're on opposite trajectories. They start off here and they go like this.
Classic reflection.
Also, real quick, Matt from Metal Movies and Brewskis. He's done artwork for comic concepts for me, as well as AC and for Spirit Animals. And he said, would you say carrying the weight of burden and never winning, is that a decent message for a book? I think it can be. I think the better question to ask is, do you fight the good fight even when you know winning is a no-go possibility?
Are you the struggler?
That can be hopeful or nihilistic.
Depending on on how characters respond and how the story concludes. You can have a tragic story that still promotes goodness and effort and choosing to do what is right for the sake of right, or for the sake of something else. There's a lot of ways you could take it. You could always be like, oh, well, you're going to lose, so I'm going to be the biggest bad guy that ever was, and then turn into a nihilist story about how everybody sucks.
But there could be an audience for that too, though. I mean, I think it's all in how you write it. To me, it's almost like a comic with a decent story. Okay, decent story, great. Is the art incredible, or is the art middling? So if you hit a home run, even if I think either direction you go in, it could land with certain people and probably turn other people off, but that's, I mean, the nature of any form of art, really. Sorry, Bats, go ahead.
Oh, no. Yeah, you did not.
I still want to hear his philosophy. Whenever.
Yeah, no, so I was going to say with the comments, I was going to say, on a serious note, it does remind me of The Struggler, right? It's like you're not winning, you have a huge burden on yourself, but the key factor is you keep going. You struggle on, right? And of course, that makes a good story.
Well, it's like in a way, Guts is winning. It's just small victories. It's not. It's like every little bit he is slowly getting better. Slowly. It's not. There is going to be permanent damage to him.
Oh, look, a page right before he starts winning.
Better for him. Not the golden age. That is an all-time low point.
The imminent victory is at hand. Yeah, Guts is about to have a great time in the next.
Golden age and conviction are both very low points for Guts as a character.
Are you caught up with new chapters?
Yeah, I am.
I digress. Anyways, but
I can't show this. I can't show most of these panels even in black and white. Listen,
can we come up with more excuses for me to talk about Berserk and Yu Yu Hakusho?
No.
Tell me your philosophy, damn it.
Reveal it, coward. I think there's a retard in all of us.
When we were talking about Deluxe Volume 7, we were constantly asking Kahuna if he likes snakes. Just because of the one section with the demon goat or whatever.
There's a snake, and it's active. It's excited. It's at full mast. And yep, that's artwork I never needed to see, but I have. So here we are. Yeah, life goes on.
About what Bats put in the chat the other day.
I put that one.
What during Iron Age Nights?
Yeah.
The sound of Ernest.
Well, a little bit behind the scenes for those who watch Iron Age Nights. You could see Justin's his screen on the reflection of his glasses. I posted it in our Discord.
That's right.
Very foul image. It said, "Look at me." Sadly, you couldn't. But if you ever see Justin do this, and he's like.
Yeah, it actually was a fitting reference given tonight's guest and all and the thumbnail and all of that. It was it was purged from my mind till you brought it back up, and now there it is.
You're
There it is
welcome.
again.
You're welcome. So anyway, Bats, what's your philosophy?
So I got a bunch of philosophies in mind, right?
Yeah.
Word.
Which one? Which one, bro? Which one?
So I have 6 main characters, and they're all going in different paths. But one of the main factors of the character in this is George, the AI, and what's happening?
I was just letting you talk, man. Why'd everybody stop? Well, you guys all paid attention. You all paid attention? What?
Keep your
Sex
eye
wasn't
on
mean.
We're making it even more interesting for people that are watching instead of just listening. And then
At first they're like,
and we're like, well, that's it. We can't top
and they at first they're like, oh, it's sign language. Oh, that's not sign language.
Well played. And once again, Bats' deep thoughts are interrupted with nonsense.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I kind of did that with myself. So it's like it's the world's controlled. You have a perfect utopia from the robot, and that's cracked by a terrorist group that have their ideologies go against each other.
No truer statement has ever been said on this show.
But yeah, I'll have to give you a little bit more detail later. I'll give you the more specific answer later.
Okay.
Just more because you put me on the spot, and I'm like,
I'm
oh
sorry.
no,
I'm sorry.
oh no, I don't think.
Yeah. I just kind of realized that. I just kind of realized I'm always drifting back towards because just the idea of dying, and that's for some reason when time slows down for me. Like I said, it's very much like Born Identity, like bang, bang, boom, next, and then as soon as that blade finds somebody's neck, all of a sudden everything slows down, and it's poetic, as the main character takes it all in, because it's like a traumatic moment, you know what I mean? But also something huge is happening, like a life is being taken, it's crazy. I don't know. And like
how
what Otter was saying about coping, it's beautiful. I love it, So
I think how you write and I write are pretty similar. Whenever I'm writing, especially whenever I'm kind of like polishing up prose for like the final edit, I'm trying to make sure that the emotion is coming across more than anything for each kind of like individual plot beat, that whatever you're reading, you're feeling it.
Yes, sir.
In a story that I wrote, one of the main characters that a theme, it wasn't, I don't know if it's a theme so much as an idea, and that was, can a man who is unable to save himself still be a hero to others? And can that, and is that something that can sustain him? Yeah. That's something that I explored in an old story of mine. And I'm
exploring. Sorry,
what was that?
I didn't mean to cut you off. My bad.
No, you're good. You're good.
I was gonna say mine is just, what if AI tried to discover like God or whatever found us, created us, whatever.
So like AI searches for God.
Essentially, yeah.
I love that. It's cool. Well, yeah, because like what else? What's the ultimate thing to do with like an all-powerful algorithm, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like it reminds me of what I did with how do you conquer death, right? And I mean the route I went is the episode of Futurama with the gas station worms. There you go. That's just the simplest explanation. I can just really narrow it down, and instead of like a life form, it's like more scientific. I'll just say that, like more like so advanced it seems magical. And when you have that kind of thing, rebuilding your body constantly, how could you die? Your organs wouldn't fail, even in battle, you get a limb blown off, it'll just regrow it, whatever. How you do go about doing that and getting like the proper protein and energy and stuff might be a whole different grim matter, but I digress. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
I know what you're saying. No regrets.
It becomes a very Terminator 2 type thing where they're like reconstituting themselves, where they're like like their blood is filled with nanobots, essentially.
Oh, there's a book you both need to read. Anyone who likes any of the idea about AI in the future and robots and what it all means and what if it's a book called The Sea of Rust. I believe it's I believe it was an indie book, but it's basically like humanity is gone, but now the robots themselves are on the verge of being wiped out because the AI supercenters are at war with one another and they're absorbing all the individual robots who have developed consciousness themselves. It's a very, very, very well executed exploration of that idea. Very, very good book. Dude, there's so I'm seeing a lot of repeats, but
hey,
there's still coming. Some of them are new, man.
Just decided to get in on it.
Bad sauce, Ernest with a shotgun.
Death Ernest.
Empire. Now we're just getting lazy.
Attack on.
No, I'm seeing a lot of repeats. A lot of repeats. It's fine. I'm fine. It's fine with it.
You Ernest.
So stupid.
We're getting lazier too. It's like the Empire Strike Ernest.
Yes.
I'm sorry, that was retarded.
I'm glad we can finally address it because I have been trying so hard. I've been ignoring it. I feel like I'm missing out nonstop. Crispin's been killing me. The past 3 he did too have been fantastic.
Yeah.
Star Trek 6: The Undiscovered Ernest.
The Hobbit. An Unexpected Ernest.
Oh god.
Oh, that wins. Shout out to the chat. Shout outs to the chat.
Yeah, y'all, I'm impressed that this is still
going on for like an hour and a half. Just straight. This is definitely a world record of some.
It's got to be the best
Mad
running
Ernest
chat theme
Fury
ever.
Road.
Yeah.
Battle of 5 Ernest. Oh,
Ernest Ballsy.
Yep.
Ernest
Dragon Ball Ernest.
Roll out.
Yeah.
Make it
It's that time, man. It's getting midnight, man.
Scent of an Ernest.
Yep. We got to start working on stuff. First, a couple of things announcing on the channel. Either the next show or the show after that we are going to launch it on the new official Iron Seas YouTube channel. Yes!
You should be able to find it now. I suggest subscribing. It's got a pirate flag.
Yes, and we are going to create trivia involving each of the 4 hosts here. And the first person, we will present it on the day of the first episode, and whoever wins will get a $20 gift card to Amazon. And you can just email me about that afterwards. And yeah, man, there's a brand new intro created almost entirely by Justin here. He took that thing out of the park, man. It's really, really solid. We're really impressed by it. But he's like, "Can you help?" We're like, "Yeah," and then he's like, "I'm done." What? What do you mean?
It's fun. It's a karaoke sing along. There's a catchy little tune there. There's a SpongeBob reference, and we're all in pirate form.
Also, Little Kahuna definitely. Right. Yeah, he's in there too, man. Like he really want to do it. I'm like, all right, just try to match this timing. Do your best.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, dude. Also,
put the channel on the Discord.
Joe, whoever it was you who suggested we read all of these. There's no way we could read all of these. There are so many of them. It's like an hour and a half. All of the names they came up with. All of the Ernest alternate movie. No, that would be an entire stream in and of itself, dude.
Yeah.
Task impossible.
50 Shades.
I will say, and maybe a little bit biased here, but the girl with the Ernest tattoo.
that would
lost it.
Wait, Ernest it away.
There's so many good ones. Saving Private Ernest.
Burn Ernest, that's so easy. Come on, wait.
Boys, when AI gets good enough, I'm watching all of these.
The longest Ernest.
This chat on this stream and just start feeding the algorithm. Be like, give me these movies.
Black Ernest down.
The president of the United States of Ernest.
We suggested that, and by the way, I'll make the same thing that I always say. Royce from A Drink Crazy still dodging the Legend of Korra debate. What it was.
Frankly, I think he's afraid to come up against the intellectual might of the people in this stream.
He's afraid I'm going to destroy his girl publicly. So you guys should bully him about that. He needs to be bullied.
I could have gone my whole life without reading this word.
You gotta say it 3 times and it'll appear. Hey, Vern.
I will say the other thing is we're thinking about doing next week's to be a musical episode. We might. And
No, F it. We decide here.
And now it's the musical
episode. So we all have to pick a musical. I say don't even think about it. Just pick one. AC, no pressure. Pick a musical. Okay, never mind. He has a weed hat. I'll go.
Say what I need to say after this then.
Justin, you pick yours. I think I know your selection, but go.
I've already sent some clips to the fellas because they hadn't heard this movie, I don't think. Have you all?
Oh, I had. Yeah.
Oh, you have? All right. So I picked a movie from, it's got to be from like the 60s. It's called Seven Brothers for Seven Brides.
Yes!
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Bless those beautiful thighs, wherever they may be.
I haven't seen that since I was a child. I do know of the movie though.
Got a great
because
fight
I can't.
scene.
Oh, sorry.
That was it. The end.
That was it.
Because I can't think of
Bad
a
sauce.
better answer at the moment.
Speak.
I might change my answer if I got a better one. You probably would approve. Kickapoo.
Oh, okay.
Pick of Destiny.
Tenacious D.
Sorry, it's not Pick.
I guess that wait,
Destiny.
is that a music? I guess it is a musical. I never thought of it as one, but I guess.
But yeah, it's got songs.
I guess it
Like
counts.
I said, if I find a better one, I'll suggest it, and you might agree to.
AC, you're muted.
Once.
Once?
Once, yeah.
Is that a musical?
Go indie. Go with once.
Once.
My fellow.
What's once?
indie. Choose the movie
I've
once.
seen twice and right, never once.
Oh, it's good. Oh, it's good.
Okay, so for me, I have a choice here. If I believe it would win, I would probably go with High School Musical 2, just to mess with everybody once again. Or just any of them. It doesn't matter which one.
You want to be a 2-time loser? Oh.
Bet on it.
Bet on it. Anyway. Or I could go with one of my actual favorite musicals, The Rock of Ages.
Oh, I thought you were just going to say The Rock. I was like, that's not a musical.
The Rock.
Come on,
Let me mention what I think our challenge for the week will be. Well, I was going to mention before that whenever a movie wins, the person who picked that movie is going to have to sing a song from that movie.
Deal.
Beautiful thighs.
Beautiful girls, beautiful thighs.
Do you guys
The whole
mind if I
thing, we will
suggest
try
a
to get the
movie?
instrumentals.
They have to wing a song about the movie after having not watched it. That's even better.
Yeah, Otter, which movie are you picking, huh? Which one are you singing?
South Park the movie.
Okay.
I almost picked that one, yeah.
Blame Canada.
Blame Canada. Yeah.
somewhere over the rainbow.
Jesus Christ, it's really bad.
It's real bad, real bad.
Was it Team World Police?
American.
No, I'm so roadry.
Oh, yeah.
So roadry, alright. Alright. End it, Kuno.
All right.
12 here.
Ladies and gentlemen, first, real quick, let's have a little clapping for the chat. Like, holy smokes, dude. Like, congratulations, man. That was... You guys went for like an hour and a half.
Ernest
Only
is-
repeating...
He's smiling in his grave right now, I guarantee it. Big smile.
In his grave, where
You know
the
what I mean,
franchise
Ernest? You know what I
belongs.
mean?
Wow, I did go there. I'm sorry. Anyway, but guys, thank you so much for joining us for episode 15 of the Iron Seas podcast. Thank you, the Lord Otter, for joining us.
All
Sorry for the interruptions, Otter.
Yeah, sorry, you gotta come back. We promise to be more respectful next time.
That's mostly the chat's fault.
We promise that we will break the promise to be more respectful as well.
That's correct. We will do that.
All right, guys. Let's send us off. Let's pick that good old where to go. There it is.
I'll sing it right now. Let's go.
Bang the bang, dicky dicky.
Vote once.
Let's play a song of Sunset.
Yeah, do that.
The bang, the bang, the diggy, 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 the diggy. The bang, the bang.
Hail the Iron Age! Hail the Iron Seas!
My name is Bob.
Thank you for joining us on the Iron Seas podcast. Next time, either one of these guys' channel or on the new channel. Let's go! Woo!